Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has sword Bloodline harem part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Elemental countries. The land of shinobi and kunoichi. These countries are ruled by the ninjas and daimyos of the 5 great countries. Hai no Kuni, or Land of Fire, said to be the strongest of the 5 and winner of all 3 great ninja wars. Led by the Hokage, or Fire Shadow, who resides within Konohagakure, village hidden in the leaves. Kaminari no Kuni, or Land of Lightning, is led by the Raikage, or Lightning Shadow, ruled from Kumogakure, village hidden in the clouds. Kaze no Kuni, or Land of Wind, led by the Kazekage and ruled from Sunagakure, village hidden in the sand. Mizu no Kuni, or Land of Water, led by the Mizukage and ruled from Kirigakure, village hidden in the mist. Finally, Tsuchi no Kuni, or Land of Earth, led by the Tsuchikage and ruled from Awakens, village hidden in the stone. Each of these are complemented by their own daimyos. Konohagakure is seen as the most peaceful of the villages despite its bloody past. The Sandaime Hokage was an old man nearing his second retirement. He fought in 2 of the 3 ninja wars and came out of them named the professor for his ingenuity and knowledge of ninjutsu. His predecessor and successor, the Yondaime Hokage, gave his life to defeat the greatest enemy Konoha had ever faced. The Yondaime was hailed as one of the strongest shinobi to ever grace the elemental countries. He was nicknamed Yellow Flash for the telltale yellow light of his signature move, the Hiraishin. He gave his life to stop the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The Kyuubi was destruction incarnate. It would level cities and mountains with single swipes of its tails. This brings us to the start of the life of Naruto Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Time skip, 7 years later, October 10th. Konoha is enjoying great weather. The sun is shining with some clouds to provide cover for the lovers resting in the parks. Merchants are covering the streets with merchandise they have acquired to sell. Overall, a very pretty day for everyone except one boy, though he is only 7 years old. Naruto Uzumaki is scrounging in the garbage cans behind the Akimichi barbecue restaurant. He stands at a mere 3 foot despite his age. He wears rags with hints of what appears to have been an orange jumpsuit. His dirty hair looks almost black with the filth he has been forced to live in. His face is adorned with 6 whisker marks, 3 on each cheek, which would give him a cute look should any woman look twice in his direction. Underneath his rags, the sight of a malnourished and underfed body can be seen, along with numerous scars. The thing that would capture any traveler, for any native would not look long at this boy. The very sight of this boy's eyes can cause the soaring of a person's soul, or the flinching of a person's heart. When the boy is happy, his bright blue eyes would bring joy to all who would care to look. When he is sad, the people would flinch away from the hurt, the sorrow, the loneliness reflected within the boy's eyes. Naruto always scrounges around here on his birthday because they have the best food in town. He thinks of it as treating himself on his most miserable day of the year. He giggled when he thought of his treat. Most other stores would run him off, even if it was the trash cans, but the Akimichis would leave him alone most of the time. Naruto was hurrying through the food to eat so he could go to his hiding spot before night fell. For some reason, whenever night fell on his birthday, the mobs would come and look for Naruto to hurt him worse than they did every other month. During his birthday month, he received beatings almost daily, whereas in other months it would be more like once every 1 to 2 weeks. This had happened since he was thrown out of the orphanage when he was 3 years old. So for 4 years he has been living on the streets. He has become quite attentive and very resourceful and has almost thrived, if one could thrive while living on the streets, but now he has to hurry. Naruto was wandering about in a section of the city he was not in often when he smelled something wonderful. That smells delicious, Naruto thought. So he walked around until he could determine the source of the smell. He came upon a ramen stand with a sign reading Ichirakas, and he immediately went to the trash cans to see if he could salvage anything. Naruto was so absorbed in his rummaging that he did not notice the sun, and when Naruto finally realized there was none thrown away, he looked up to see the sun setting. Naruto immediately began to make his way as stealthily as he could to the forest where he would hide in the night of his birthday. He was almost to the Hokage monument when the mobs found him. "It's the demon brat. Get him!" yelled a random mobster. The shinobi within the group grabbed Naruto and tied him up so he wouldn't escape, and the crowd began to exact their vengeance on the poor 7-year-old. "I haven't done anything to you." "Why?" Naruto yelled through his pain. "Haven't done anything. Haven't done anything. You killed my father. Now we are gonna finish what the fourth started," salivated the villagers. Naruto took the beatings, each blow more painful than the last, each adding on to the already numerous scars on his frail body. They poured salt on his wounds to make the scars inflame and left him to die. Their final act was to crucify his hands and legs before walking off, hoping he would bleed to death. No one would finish the poor boy off, thinking he was too evil to allow a swift death. Naruto managed to trick them into thinking they had crucified his left hand, but he had not been. Even through the pain, Naruto's cunning mind managed to keep him alive as it had these past 4 years. Naruto plucked the kunai from his legs and arm, not a whimper being heard from him, and proceeded to limp off in extreme pain so as to hide from the next mob. Naruto limped into his cave. He considered it his own since he found it when he was 5 and has used it the past 2 years as a sort of safe house for when he needed a place to recover from his occasional beatings. Although he claimed it, he never explored it fully because it gets so dark further and that Naruto was not inclined to go further. Once Naruto entered the cave, he collapsed upon the makeshift bed of leaves he has made. Naruto awoke hours later feeling better but sore. It was raining outside, he saw, and moved further into the cave to get away from the lashing of the fierce wind accompanying the storm. Deciding it would be better to sleep the storm out, he fell asleep again in a drier spot. Awakening once again, Naruto had full mobility and hurt very little. He had always healed fast, but Naruto never questioned it after seeing the Sandaime lie whenever he was in the orphanage about it whenever he asked. Suddenly, lightning flashed outside and Naruto heard a cracking sound from further in the cave. Deciding to finally search the cave since he did not have anything else to do, Naruto dusted himself off and began his trek further inside. Naruto had been wandering around in the dark for quite some time. He always had superb night vision, so he had not tripped and hurt himself yet, but he was wondering how deep this cavern went. So Naruto continued on but started to notice little things different from regular caves. How the floor evened out, the walls and ceilings became smoother and more defined. Soon enough Naruto came upon a door with a weird symbol upon it. Naruto was not very good at reading or writing, but he was certain this was not kanji, and wondered what he had found. Being the curious 7-year-old he attempted to push upon the door. Once Naruto's hands touched the door, the sigil on the door began glowing a bluish-white aura and flashed. Naruto's hand remained stuck to the door as the sigil flashed repeatedly. Naruto was reviewing his entire life up until this point. The ignorance of the villagers, the matrons at the orphanage not feeding him, seeing the old man, living in squalor and filth for 4 years. All the way up until today's beating, which had surpassed the others. Suddenly, a voice bellowed. Never has one as pure been born. To hold such a burden yet remain so pure. You may pass. The doors swung wide and Naruto's eyes widened in their sockets at the blast of air that blew past him. Not at the strength of the blast but of the smell. It smelled of fresh rain, of the springtime flowers and of honey. Not of musk and death, as one would expect of such an old cavern. Naruto stepped into the massive cavern to see stone pillars reaching the ceiling many stories higher. Lighted orbs lighting the pathway all the way to a raised dais. Naruto began his walk through the underground cavern, not noticing the wind pick up around him and shooting gusts into the dark. When Naruto reached the dais, he could feel the ancient entity standing guard over the stairs leading to the top. The figure spoke in that same calming yet yelling voice. What brings you here, young one? I was simply looking for a place to sleep away from the villagers. I did not want to be hurt any longer, and decided to explore the rest of this cave since the storm is too fierce for me to return to the village anyways. Naruto responded in wide-eyed fascination. The figure looked at Naruto and spoke. If you had power, what would you do with it? Naruto's eyebrow furrowed. He thought long before trying to answer the entity. While the blue-eyed person thought the entity was impressed. He showed wisdom well beyond his years, even considering his lifestyle, and was not brash like many before him. Finally, Naruto spoke. I would make it so no one could hurt me. Only to protect yourself would you seek power? The specter spoke again, seemingly frowning. And so that when others recognize me I could protect them. Of course. Naruto spoke as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. The entity chuckled. Haha. Even though some persecute you would still protect them? Ludicrous. But I can see you speak the truth, you pass my test. Wield Kamicazi well, young one. With that the entity faded away, but not before speaking his final warning. All is not as it seems, look deeply, and your blade will never fail you. Naruto pondered the final warning before beginning his short trek up the stairs to the dais. When he crested above the final step he could see a depression further within the circular dais. When he finally reached the edge of the depression he gasped. Sitting within the depression was a ring of stairs leading to a stone table. Upon the stone table, a blade sat with its sheath nearby. It sat humming. Naruto was dumbstruck at the beauty of the blade. As simplistic as it was a sight to behold. The kanji on the sheath read Kamicazi, or Divine Wind. Naruto slowly made his way down the short flight of steps to the sword and made to grasp the handle. Before touching this blade, beware your heart. A voice spoke. Only those strong of heart, and sure of their strength, may wield me. Be careful lest you fail like countless others before you. Naruto faltered but for a moment and spoke. I have never failed in anything I have set myself to. I have lived a life of hunger and sadness. I am worthy of wielding you, Kamicazi. And grasped the blade's hilt. The entire area flashed before dimming back down. Congratulations. I accept you as my master, Naruto-sama. Please use me as you will. Kamicazi spoke. Naruto was surprised. The voice sounded in his head instead of outside. Please do not be frightened. I have simply integrated myself into you by accepting you. No one else may wield me unless both you and I deem them worthy. However, only you will be able to wield my full potential. You are the first to ever gain my power. I am honored to be in your service, Naruto-sama. Naruto was stunned. He just gained a beautiful blade, but he did not know how to use it. He could finally defend himself against his enemies when they would attack. Naruto began to wonder why this sword was hidden away and what sort of powers it might possess. Naruto-sama, my powers will awaken as you grow more powerful. I regret to inform you that you cannot use me to protect yourself or anyone else until you have trained with me. But do not worry, I am, as you can see, sentient, so I will train you in the ancient and lost art of the wind style that comes along with myself to complement my powers. Sweet. So what can we do now, Kamicazi? Naruto almost yelled. We will have to train you physically so you can handle my techniques. Your natural affinity is wind, so we together will make you a wind lord. Are you left-handed or right-handed, Naruto-sama? Questioned Kamicazi. I write with my left hand and can throw stuff with it more accurately, but my right arm is stronger, answered Naruto. Ambidextrous. Amazing, you really can pull out my full potential. That, however, is a long way off. As a side note, please think your answers to me so that people do not think you are crazy, Naruto-sama. We will need to get you some better clothes, a well-balanced diet, and some training weights. A nice place to sleep would do better than what you have now. For now, let's see if we can't find that old man who was nice to you, stated Kamicazi. Time warp, earlier that same day. Karinai Yuhi, chunin of Konoha, was returning from a horrible mission. She had been sent on a simple high C-rank mission with another chunin to transport a package from Kaze no Kuni to Konoha. The trip to the sand village was uneventful. It wasn't until they were only a day away from Konoha on their return trip that things went to shit. First, the team had come across some bandits that decided Karinai would be good fun and attempted to subdue them. They were no match for the chunin's superior skills, but with their number they managed to wound her partner. She managed to dress the wound and keep her companion from dying, but then a missing nin from IWA, which still had a high grudge from their last war, decided that two weakened chunin would be easy pickings and engaged them in combat. The missing nin managed to kill Karinai's teammate and assumed it was easy street to subdue Karinai. However, Karinai is known as the Genjutsu mistress of Konoha even at her young age of 14. She was the foremost Genjutsu expert and would not be taken down easily. She defeated the, as she later found out, B-rank nin and sealed his head into a sealing scroll. Deciding that she needed to rest before continuing her journey, Karinai found a secure place to sleep and fell into a sleep full of the nightmares or kunoichi being captured. Luck was not on Karinai's side, however. She woke up 1 hour later tired and cranky from an unrestful sleep and hearing voices of bandits near her. Knowing she was weakened from all her fighting, she waited until she saw an opening to the treetops. Once she had a clear shot, she took off in the treetops running from the bandits. Unfortunately, one of the bandits saw her and the group of 3 genins started chasing her. In her tired state, Karinai only got to the outskirts of the forests of Konoha before her chakra gave out and she was forced to the floor and running on adrenaline. The genin quickly caught her, and after a brief taijutsu fight, in which Karinai broke one of the genin's noses, the genins had captured Karinai and were getting ready to enjoy their spoils. One of the genin said, "So the Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, what a ice queen indeed, look at those eyes. I have never seen anything like it." Indeed, Karinai's eyes were a curious shade. Red eyes marked her with her flowing black hair that reached to her mid-back and budding C-cup breasts, which would only get fuller. Following her dress of bandages down to her toned ass and legs that seemed to go on forever. Karinai was one of the most sought-after women within the village, however she had turned down advances for the exact reason that she is about to be raped for. They only wanted her body. Karinai thought, shit, of course I have to come across perverts left and right today. This is the 3rd time for Kami's sake. Can't there be any decent men left in the world? If you're gonna do it, just get it over with. Karinai then spat in the genin's face. All of the genins gained a malicious smirk on their face. Don't worry, you're gonna enjoy this by the time we are done. I doubt it, retorted Karinai. Shit, to think I lose my virginity to these assholes, then I die. Fuck. And with that the genin began their advance. Naruto was walking out in the forest after having taken an alternate route when finding his original way blocked. He had Kamicazi slung over his back because it was currently too big to be tied to his waist. Naruto was heading north to Konoha when he began hearing strange grunting noises. Naruto-sama, I suggest we see what is going on over there and quickly, Kamicazi stated, knowing what those sounds probably meant. Marking how urgently Kamicazi said it, he drew Kamicazi slowly so as not to make too much noise and gripped it tightly before moving forward. After walking a few steps, the noises became louder, and then he heard a loud feminine scream. Immediately, rushing forward, he pushed aside a part of a bush to look into the clearing ahead but not be seen himself, and was shocked at what he saw. There in the clearing was one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen, being manhandled by 3 but naked men. They were in the process of ripping her clothes off. He saw the fear in her eyes and immediately knew if he did not do something he was going to regret it. So he started to formulate a plan when Kamicazi spoke up. Naruto-sama, I can help you take out these Vow beings if you allow, but this will drain me and I will not be able to do it again for some time. Do you wish to do it? Asked Kamicazi. Naruto replied without any hesitation, Do you think, Kamicazi, if I cannot help her, then how can I help myself? Kamicazi hummed in response and told Naruto, Indeed, you are the correct wielder for me. You know nothing of the other person, yet you are willing to sacrifice your power for her. Astounding. I shall grant your wish. She will be saved. With that being said, Naruto's eyes changed. Naruto's blue eyes changed to a menacing red with slits for pupils. However, these slits were not normal, they were in the form of a curve similar to an S but not quite. Instantly Naruto's vision improved and Naruto could feel his body moving more fluidly than he ever thought possible. Naruto charged into the clearing right as the genin managed to grab the rest of Karinai's dress off. They were stunned that this little kid moved on them. Before they could blink, Naruto had the one who was stroking himself in preparation castrated and decapitated. While his head fell off, the other 2 genins took their stances and one yelled, You little twerp! You killed our friend. We are gonna beat you dead. And with that they charged. Naruto waited their charge out, and ducked easily under the first fist, and rolled to the left, putting the first attacker between himself and the second while thrusting his sword forward much faster than a 7-year-old should, and impaling the first attacker. As the first slumped down, the second was contemplating what kind of monster Naruto must be to move like that while being so young. Karinai was shocked. She could not believe this young boy had come out of nowhere and managed to kill not 1 but 2 genins and has almost saved her from being raped by them. Her belongings and the package are still in her pouch, so she was just staring in awe at this dirty boy handling 3 genin like he is a jounin, and they are greenhorns. Naruto was getting tired and he knew it. Moving at speeds his body shouldn't be able to, and using as much energy as he had on his malnourished body took a toll on him. He knew that he needed Kamicazi to finish soon, so he didn't pass out. The 3rd genin was just trying to figure out how to beat this kid. He eventually decided that a long-range attack was best against a sword user, so backed up and started doing hand signs as fast as he could to activate his jutsu. Seeing this, Kamicazi smirked after recognizing the jutsu and said to Naruto, Would you like to try my most basic power, Naruto-sama? It would be most effective against the current jutsu being employed. Sure, Naruto answered and closed his eyes, concentrating on the energy source Kamicazi told him to activate. Karinai's eyes widened as he watched the young boy's eyes close as the enemy finished his hand signs and put his hands up to his mouth. Run! She screamed. The 3rd genin smirked as he fired his fireball straight at the young boy, sure that he could not dodge or block this jutsu. Fire style, Grand Fireball no Jutsu. Naruto concentrated solely on the energy source, barely heard the goddess call or the enemy's jutsu. He finally found it and pushed it into Kamicazi. Kamicazi smirked, if such a thing was possible, and said, Release the energy, Naruto-sama, and call out your attack. Benny, Naruto said as the fireball beared down on him, and the goddess stared in shock as Naruto's eyes snapped open and a red aura surrounded him. Kaze! The genin smirk faded as he watched the red aura gather around the raised blade of the boy, and with a single downward swing of the blade he sent a crescent of red energy through the fireball and straight at him. With his surprise, he was too slow to move out of the way and was sliced clean in 2. Karinai, seeing the threat terminated, stared at the smiling boy holding his sword and had to ask herself, maybe there is hope for men after all. Still, where did he come from and where did he get such a powerful blade? She could feel herself giving out. The stress of almost being raped 3 times and the long run were taking a toll, and now that the adrenaline was leaving, she could feel herself falling asleep. Hey, are you alright, Megami-chan? Karinai blushed at the nickname given her by this young boy who saved her life and virtue. Hey, you're a Konoha ninja, do you need help getting back? Naruto asked. My name is Karinai Yuhi, chunin. I am returning from a mission, but I can feel myself going out. Please take me to the Hokage and don't forget my belongings, she said as she pointed towards her pack. Then she fell forward unconscious. The last thing she remembers is 6 whisker marks on the boy's cheeks and him managing to appear right next to her as she fell forward. Naruto saw Karinai fall forward and rushed to grab her. He was tired, but he would persevere for her sake. He laid her down and took the rags off his chest, which were still pretty tied together, and managed to cover her breasts, and downstairs, as Naruto would say. He wondered how he was going to get to Konoha without hurting her. He could not just leave her here. So using his cunning mind again, he lashed together some big branches with strips from the dead guy's clothes. He took all their weapons and scrolls and loaded them up with Karinai, and started to drag Karinai on the sled to Konoha. Time skip, 3 hours edge of Konoha. The Hokage had finally gotten out of that damn office. His only reprieve from there had been when he checked in on Naruto when he would be brought into the hospital, but he never had the time to stay until the boy woke. He got regular reports from ANBU watching him at the orphanage, but something had been fishy of late. Naruto was looking skinnier and unhealthy. He was considering getting Naruto an apartment to live by himself while he was enrolled within the ninja academy. The Hokage sighed. Ever since that damn law 4 years ago in which the Hokage had 3 times the paperwork, he has not been able to keep as close an eye on Naruto. Yes, the reports do say he has been doing okay, but that is only from reports, no actual interaction. He finally got that damn law revoked, and he would be damned if he let Naruto be by himself any longer. He was walking around the edge of the forest to calm his nerves when he heard a rustling in the bushes. Hiding his kunai under his robe, he waited while watching the bush. Waiting. Out from the bush came a boy around Naruto's age with black hair and blue eyes. Wait a moment. Yes, there they were, the whisker marks on his cheeks. Naruto! The old man exclaimed. Then he took in the rest of what he carried, a sword slung across his back. A sled carrying an exhausted but otherwise unharmed Karinai, packs from what appeared to be other shinobi, and rags covering his body. The Hokage's eyes narrowed seeing all of this together. I believe we need to have a talk, Naruto. Hi, Aji-san, Naruto said as he fainted weak from 3 hours of pulling a teenager and being underfed. This is only the beginning. The Hokage rushed to stop Naruto's fall and managed to catch the black-haired boy before he hit the ground. The Hokage sighed. What happened to you, my boy? The Hokage decided he could question Naruto later and checked his and Karinai's vital signs. Satisfied they were only unconscious, he gathered up little Naruto in his arms and made a whistle with his teeth. Immediately 4 ANBU appeared. These are the best of the best. The Hokage's personal guard that leaves him at no time and switch off with 4 others. Kneeling in front of the Hokage, they await their orders. They answer to no one but the Hokage himself. Take Miss Yuhi to the hospital for an exam and see to it she gets the rest she deserves. Hi, Hokage-sama. 2 ANBU grab Karinai and shun her to the hospital while the Hokage walks with Naruto to the Hokage tower. Upon arrival, he is swamped with aides and ninja asking what Naruto had done, and claiming he had done something to the festival this night. The Hokage, having had enough of these ludicrous proceedings, spikes his killer intent, will be KI from now on, and speaks. The next person to speak a lie about little Naruto tonight will be on the executioner's block tomorrow morning. Do I make myself clear? Bellowed the old man. The crowd dispersed faster than Naruto running for food. The Hokage sighs, he is doing that a lot more lately, and proceeds to his office where he can continue watching the fireworks celebrating the Yondame's sacrifice and wait for Naruto to wake up. While he is waiting, he looks through the pouches he found on the sled. He sees the package that Karinai had been sent to get. He had honestly thought that to be an easy mission and was hoping to get Karinai some more missions to get her to Jounin so he could have some genjutsu classes with her. Noticing the pouches seem a little heavy, he searches through them and comes to the conclusion it was 3 genins and that Karinai had a sealing scroll for heads in hers. Quickly unsealing the head, he went about locating if the IWA nin had been in the bingo book, the book for missing nins and their capture reward. Recording Karinai down for the B rank nin and the C rank completed, he turned his attention to Naruto and the sword laying on his back. Looking closely, he noticed the sword was actually a ninjato. It was slightly curved but was double-bladed, sharp on both edges. The tsuba, or guard, was the weirdest the Sandame had ever seen. The connection between blade and hilt seemed to be a whirlpool of sorts, but not of water but of wind. The cloth wrapped around the hilt ensured a firm and easy grip. Attempting to get a better look at the blade, the Sandame attempted to pull the blade but had to remove his hand when the wind picked up and almost cut his hand off. Frowning slightly, the Sandame sat back in his seat to contemplate this new development. Seeing Naruto's face and sleep made him soften, and he looked over Naruto. His hair looked blackened with dried mud, dirt, leaves, and what appeared to be something else. His arms and legs sported numerous scars and scratches, no doubt from his trek within the woods. However, it was his chest area that made the Sandame seethe and start to radiate Ki. You could see Naruto's ribs, each were clear as day. The scars here were much worse than his arms, and his breath rattled within his lungs as if taking a breath caused him pain. The Sandame wondered what else he had missed if his own ANBU had not ensured he get fed properly. Time skip 3 hours. Naruto began to stir, and the first thing he noticed was that he was on a comfortable sofa. He froze, trying to figure out what house he was in this time. However, before he could do anything drastic, Kamicazi spoke up. Naruto-sama, you were picked up by the old man, remember? "Hi," Naruto answered. Naruto cracked his eyes open and saw the old man silently smoking on his pipe. His eyes holding a smoldering fury Naruto had rarely seen in him, and he noticed the old man had not seen he was awake yet. Naruto sat up and put his biggest smile on and looked at the old man. He hadn't changed a bit in 4 years. "Hello, Ji-san?" The Sandaime chuckled, seeing nothing could keep the poor boy down, and favored him with a small smile. "Hello, Naruto-kun." "Ji-san, where is Karinai-chan?" Naruto questioned curiously. He was genuinely concerned for the young woman's life whom he had saved. "Karinai-chan, is it?" the Hokage thought. "I had her taken to the hospital once you have arrived. You have been out for 3 hours, Naruto. I need you to be serious and tell me what happened." "Should I tell him that you can talk, Kamicazi?" Naruto thought to the sword. "Perhaps it would be best to keep me out of this conversation. Tell him you found the sword within the cave, but do not tell of your trials. No one else will be allowed, and so there is no harm done," answered Kamicazi. Giving a mental nod, Naruto turned to the Sandaime and began his tale. 1 hour later then I saw Karinai-chan collapse, and I made the sled and dragged her all the way home." The Sandaime was gobsmacked. This boy took out 3 genin with this new sword which only he seemed capable of wielding, but was obviously not a QB trick, for its power was bluish-white, not red, and wind, not fire. Not only that, he had been beaten today and shrugged off such severe wounds in hours. Yes, the Sandaime was speechless for about 5 minutes afterwards and decided he would have to talk to Karinai to get her version. "Well, Naruto, we should get you to the orphanage. Even though you are so late, they should still have your bed for you." Naruto cocked his head to the left a little bit with a confused expression on his face. "Aji-san, I have not been to the orphanage for almost 4 of my birthdays now," stated Naruto with a serious expression. Once again, the Sandaime was speechless. Naruto had not been in the orphanage for 4 years. Where had all those orphanage reports come from then? The ANBU only really made reports when they found him beaten so badly they took him to the hospital, otherwise they ignored him. The Sandaime knew this but figured with the matrons Naruto would be fine for first aid and a place to live. "Naruto, where do you live right now? How do you get food?" Dreading the answer. "Aji-san, I have a nice corner of an alley about 3 blocks from the wall, and a cardboard box that keeps the rain out. As for food, the restaurants and all groceries kick me out, so I scrounge around the dumpsters when I get hungry, and on my birthdays I manage to get some barbecue from the big people's trash can," Naruto explained. A single tear fell from the Hokage's eye as he heard of the horrible life his adopted grandson had been living. He should have been in a loving, caring environment. Instead, the council and villagers, even some of his own shinobi, had ruined his childhood. Steel came to the Hokage's eyes as he contemplated what he would do in the coming days. His will of fire rekindled at the injustice of Naruto. He was going to ensure Naruto got what he deserved. The Hokage turned to Naruto and said, "Naruto, is there anything you want?" Naruto thought for a moment, and after conversing again with Kamicazi, he stated, "Some money for food and clothes and some training weights, so I could train to be a ninja. A place to sleep would be nice too, Aji-san." The Hokage blinked, then blinked again, and his eyes softened. "Very well, Naruto, I will have a new apartment set up for you. You will get a monthly stipend from me every first Tuesday of the month. Come see me and I will give you money. In a few days we will go buy you food and groceries for the new apartment. Until then I want you to stay with me while I take care of things. Okay?" Naruto thought for 1 second, then nodded his agreement, and spoke, "One last thing, Aji-san." Anything else, Naruto?" the Hokage asked. "Yes, please do not tell Karinai-chan who saved her. Inform her that it was a random swordsman who simply wanted to help," Naruto said. The Hokage's eyes widened at the request and at the thought-out excuse, and then narrowed. "Why?" the Hokage asked. Naruto responded. "I see how the villagers and shinobi look at me. I know not why they hate me so, but a beautiful woman such as Karinai does not need to have such hate thrown on her for simply trying to thank the one who saved her. I do not need her thanks, and I do not want her pity. Please tell her this excuse for me so she may go on with her life and not have to be lumped with me." Another tear fell from the Hokage's eye yet again at the maturity shown by the blonde in the past few hours. "All right, Naruto-kun, I agree," the Hokage sighed with a heavy heart. "Let's get you to a hot spring to clean you up, then we can go to bed, nay." It took 2 hours of scrubbing to get Naruto's hair back to its golden blonde color, and Naruto managed to clean his wounds. After crawling into the first bed in 4 years, Naruto fell into the most peaceful rest of his entire life. Safe under the Sandaime's watchful eye. Time skip next morning. Karinai woke within the hospital. What happened? I feel horrible." As she began reviewing her memories, she recalled the horrible mission and became depressed for allowing her comrade's death, but then came upon the awkward young boy who had saved her. What was that weird weapon he carried with him? That strong, ferocious aura that exuded from him as he was enraged from those bastards' actions. She wondered where he went. He was an interesting person, and he obviously got her home. Finally, she shot up wondering where he might be. Seeing her heart rate increase and all the beeping on the machines went crazy, Karinai managed to calm herself down so as not to have doctors rushing to her. She relaxed as a nurse came in and decided to get some information. "What time is it and when did I get here?" questioned Karinai. The nurse softened her gaze upon Karinai's questions and answered, "You were brought here late last night. You must have been quite exhausted to have slept through the night and well into the morning. It is my understanding that you ninja are up early, and sleeping till almost 10 in the morning is a little late for you." Karinai was a little shocked at how long she slept, but guessed after everything that had happened in the past few days she was a little more exhausted than she thought. After coming to this realization, she questioned, "Who brought me here and when can I be released? I must make a report to Hokage-sama." The nurse expressed some surprise at the first question and answered, "You were brought here by the Hokage's personal guard ANBU, and you should be able to check out around lunchtime once the doctors have cleared you. You weren't really hurt, just a few scratches and some chakra depletion." Satisfied with the answer, Karinai laid back to wait for the doctors to release her. 2 hours later, Karinai was on her way to the Hokage Tower to deliver her report and inquire as to where her savior had run off to. She felt the need to at the very least thank him and find out his name. After a short time of talking to the secretary, she presented herself before her commander and saluted him. Noticing the room surrounding her, she noticed the 4 pictures of the previous and current Hokages, as well as the sofa with accompanying table for drinks or leisure. The big wooden desk with its back to the most impressive view of the village besides the top of the Hokage monument. The Hokage watched as Karinai went through the motions of greeting him as according to their stations. He was curious what her story would reveal. "Hello Karinai, how are you feeling after such a rough night?" Karinai answered, "I am fine, Hokage-sama. Thank you for your concern. Should I start my report now?" With a simple wave of his hand, the Hokage motioned for her to continue. "About 40 minutes later, then I introduced myself to the young man and asked him to please get me to you and that I was going to pass out. Now here I am. Do you by any chance know where the young boy is so I can thank him for his efforts?" The Hokage's eyes flashed sorrowfully before responding. "He was a wandering swordsman who left town this morning saying that he expected no thanks for saving such a woman as you. Saying that rapists are the lowest of the low and that the only worst beings are child beaters." Karinai was stunned, and it showed on her face for a full 5 seconds before she regained her sense and stopped her thoughts. She was sure the boy would want something in return, but he just helped out of what appeared to be the kindness of his heart. He then left before even seeing if she would do anything. She felt a pang of sadness at not being able to thank the boy. Then she started to think about him and became suspicious. There couldn't be that many swordsmen with whisker marks on their cheeks, and she resolved to find this boy and find out more about him. The Hokage, sensing the direction of Karinai's thoughts, said he asked that you not seek him out to thank him and simply to move on with your life and try to forget such a traumatic experience. He did check on you before he left the village and wished you well in your life. Karinai hid her shock this time well, but still had steel in her red eyes as she replied, "Very well, Hokage-sama, thank you for relaying his message." The Hokage nodded as he continued on his work. "Karinai, the missing nin you brought in was a B-rank nin, and you will be compensated for the mission as well as the nin because your swordsman brought the package along with you," Karinai responded. "Thank you, Hokage-sama. If that is it, I must be going. I have a prior engagement that I hope I can still make." With a final wave of his hand and a dismissed, Karinai left the Hokage's office. "Was that good enough?" Sarutobi asked. "Hi, Aji-san. She will not recognize me when we go get my new clothes and with my hair clean. Arigato," Naruto answered as he moved out from the secret room he had been hiding in when they were informed of Karinai's approach. "I have one more appointment before we can go get your new outfit and apartment. Would you like to stay or would you like to go back in the room?" questioned Sarutobi. "I am going to sit on the sofa," Naruto answered and sat on the sofa swinging his little feet with his sword on his back, acting as the 7-year-old he really is. The Hokage smiled briefly before asking the secretary to bring in his last appointment of the day. In walked a teenager about Karinai's age. She was just as beautiful as Karinai and was hailed as the leader of the resistance within Kirigakure to fight the Bloodline wars. She had red hair down to her knees in the back and a bang that covered her left eye, leaving on the right to actually be seen. Her dress fell around her in folds, leaving little to the imagination, yet seemingly at the same time hiding much more. Her green eyes sparkled with a sharp intellect. She greeted the Hokage. "Hello, Hokage-sama, and thank you for seeing me," she said with a smile. She noticed Naruto and went a little starry-eyed over his cuteness, but remembered her purpose here and returned her attention to the leader of this village. Hokage-sama, I am here on a diplomatic mission to request aid for our forces in combating the bloodline wars that have started up within Kiri so that we may keep the bloodlines safe. As Mei Terumi, as Naruto found out by listening in, was speaking with the old man pleading her case, he took the time to note her posture and the aura surrounding her. He noticed she had the same posture as many of the masked people who would occasionally help him when he was hurt. He assumed she was powerful, and going by the smell of burnt rock and moisture surrounding her, she was deadly. He had always been able to smell things pretty well and had written it off as a regular thing considering he had no one else to compare himself to. The Hokage sighed and responded to the latest of Mei's points. I am sorry, but we cannot afford to help you with your war at the current time. Please accept my dearest apologies and I hope all goes well with you. Mei was downcast but became angry and said, for a village that flaunts its bloodlines you don't want to help others with their problems, I see. And proceeded to walk out of the office. However, something blocked her path. Naruto, sensing her anger and her intention of leaving, stood in the doorway and spoke to her when she almost knocked him over. I hope you live, Mei-chan. You are a strong and deadly woman. Please take my hope that you will win such an awful thing within your home and come out safe and sound. Please do not be mad at Aji-san. He is just keeping his home safe just as you are doing. Naruto smiled up at her. Mei's eyes softened and she spoke. Don't worry, I am just frustrated. What is your name, little one? Naruto, Mei-chan, that is my name. Mei chuckled at her newfound suffix and said, well, Naruto-kun, live long and I hope to see you again as well. With that, Mei left the village. The Hokage smiled, seeing Naruto's unnatural skill to bring even the worst of enemies together at work. Come on, Naruto-kun, let us get you some new clothes and find out how much money is owed to you. The Hokage's eyes grew steel when he mentioned money. He had sent money every month to the orphanage for Naruto and had been doing so automatically for the past 4 years. It was time to learn where Naruto's inheritance money had been spent. Sarutobi grabbed the deed for the apartment complex he bought specifically for Naruto and motioned for the little boy to follow him. The Hokage took Naruto to a shinobi-only store to meet an old friend of his that he was sure would not discriminate against him for the burden Naruto carried. As they walked, they entered a shinobi-only district, which coincidentally is where Naruto's new apartment was located, so the Sandaime could have a closer eye on Naruto. While they were walking, the Hokage decided to question Naruto. Naruto, have you considered what you want to do in life? Naruto pondered for a few seconds and answered, I want to become a shinobi, Aji-san. One so powerful I can protect all my precious ones and all the ones precious to them as well. The Hokage's eyes softened and he replied, then I shall have to send you to the academy, Naruto. It is not easy and you will be a year younger than the other applicants. We will be extending the curriculum a full year once this year starts as well, so you will not graduate until you are 12, Naruto. It is a hard life filled with misery and death. Do you still want to attend? It hurt to be so brutally honest, but the Hokage had to be sure Naruto wanted this, because even though he could do many things should the council wish it, Naruto attending the academy could prove to be hard to negotiate. The council has gained too much power as of recently, and it would take years for the Sandaime to revoke some laws and get the Hokage's power back in the correct hands. Naruto responded without hesitation, I will become the most powerful shinobi to protect the people I consider precious. Then let us get you what you will need for school. It will start in a few months, and you need some supplies to go. The Hokage replied. They arrived at the store and Naruto was not impressed. It looked like a shack. The Hokage chuckled at Naruto's look. All is not as it seems, but before he could say anything Naruto's eyes narrowed. Naruto spoke up, Aji-san, is there a genjutsu somewhere near here? The Hokage's eyes widened and he decided he would have to have Naruto's sense tested to see if he was developing extra sense for some reason. Hi Naruto-kun. The store is under a genjutsu so that only ANBU operatives may enter. It is a rule only those who can break the genjutsu may shop here, but I am going to allow you to shop here because you managed to detect the genjutsu at such a young age. Naruto was ecstatic to be able to shop where the elite of the Hokage could and ran to the door before walking inside along with the Sandaime. Once inside, Naruto was stunned at the cleanliness of the store and how modern it looked compared to the outside. He saw row upon row of kunai, shuriken, ninja wire, explosive tags, and even different swords to be used. He finally came full circle to see the counter, and the older man residing behind it looking at Naruto with a critical eye. Naruto flinched back seeing this and after gathering his courage glared back at the man as if daring him to try something. The older man suddenly laughed at spoke up, so Naruto Uzumaki finally decides to grace my humble abode. Nice to meet you, young man, my name is Karisu. I was wondering when you would get around to scoping my shop out for some pranks on our favorite ANBU. Naruto beamed at the praise given by Karisu and was glad to have someone who did not outright glare at him for some reason unknown to him. Well, I had to work my way up. Wouldn't want me getting caught now, would I? Karisu chuckled at Naruto and said, you my boy are going to be great, I can see it. Especially with the Sandaime behind you. Pick up whatever clothes you need. I will get your academy package ready as I can guess you are attending the academy, and we will work out what will need to be paid for. One last thing though, what are you doing with such a blade? Naruto responded with complete awe and respect. Well, Karisu and Ai-san, I found this blade named Kamicazi in a cave not far from town. He is very helpful. I like this one. Naruto-sama, please return here and converse with him some more. Perhaps he can help with your training. Kamicazi spoke. Hi Kamicazi. Karisu smirked and set off with you now and pick out some true shinobi clothing. I have your weapons ready with your return and some new books. Naruto walked off within the store and browsed around. After a little time figuring out what he wanted, he finally picked out some basic ANBU style clothing to last his training and figured he would buy another set of clothes when he graduated. So garbed in regular ANBU issue clothing, he emerged from the clothing room no longer in rags. With his hair hanging longer than normal making its way down his back. He made his way back to the counter after throwing away the rags. When he stood before the counter, the Hokage and Karisu both were very pleased with his choices, and Karisu spoke up. Very good. Most your age would go for flashy colors, but you chose practical stuff. Hey, race your academy set, but I have real kunai and shuriken that will be ready to use when you reach the appropriate skill level. The books are standard academy issue with some notes, scribbled on the side by real shinobi. I keep very few books here, but the ones I do are more educational than anywhere but the Hokage vault. Now for payment, let me see. Naruto waited with bated breath while Karisu started ringing things up with his register. Tell me, boy, where will you go to shop after you are finished here for your shinobi needs even while in the academy? Naruto was a little taken aback but replied, I would like to shop here, Karisu and Ai-san, if you don't mind, that is. Karisu pondered for a moment, and said, then think of this as an investment. Should you shop here for the rest of your life, I will give you all this equipment, and will only sell you the best equipment from now on. What say you, Naruto? Naruto responded with tears in his eyes. Hi Karisu and Ai-san. Could I get some more sets of these clothes? Naruto asked. Of course, Ototo. Naruto's eyes widened before hugging the older man and being sent on his way. The Sandaime knew he had picked the right place to bring Naruto, and knew that Karisu would keep an eye on him. Should his ANBU fail. The Sandaime decided to show Naruto his apartment, and let him get settled while he would go track down the orphanage to gather his money. So while he led Naruto to his apartment, he was taken by surprise when he noticed Naruto now wore a mask similar to Kakashi Hatake. Now the Sandaime was known as the professor for a reason, and instantly deduced that this was to serve two purposes. 1. Keep the villagers from recognizing him so fast without his whisker marks. Naruto stood out far less. 2. Keep Karinai from learning his identity and being persecuted. He smiled at Naruto's ingenuity and came upon his apartment. Here we are, Naruto. This apartment is yours. Here is your key and don't lose it, okay? Naruto's eyes widened as he took in the spacious living room that he now owned. It contained a built-in sofa depression area, 1, with a flat-screen TV and a fireplace for cold nights. A king's chair, 2, as well. Across from the entrance, another doorway led to a small kitchen with a stove, oven, microwave, and refrigerator. The pantry and fridge were stacked with healthy foods for Naruto to recover on. On the opposite wall of the TV, a small hallway led to 2 bedrooms, one slightly larger than the other with adjoining bathroom and a hallway bathroom for guests. Naruto's eyes watered yet again as he took the sight in and hugged his Aji-san before he tested the rug within the bedrooms and sofa depression. Naruto, I need to take a short trip, and when I get back we can go get dinner, okay? Sarutobi said. Hi Aji-san. Naruto yelled as he enjoyed bouncing on his new queen-sized bed that was like a lake for Naruto's little body. Naruto-sama, I suggest we take another bath to finish the process from yesterday and get ready for dinner. We will have to check that book you took for training. Naruto remembered that he took a book of seals written by his hero, the Yondaime, to help him while hiding as Aji-san talked to Karinai. Naruto smirked. Hi Kamicazi. The Hokage shined to the road leading to the orphanage that Naruto stayed at previously. He could feel his anger increasing in waves, but he held it down so as to get what Naruto was owed. He walked into the orphanage and asked to speak to all the matrons since the little ones are eating dinner. All of the senior staff, the younger staff were hired after Naruto was kicked out, were assembled. The Hokage spoke. Where is Naruto Uzumaki? I did not see him with the other children. The matrons paled. They had been told the Hokage would not have time to see Naruto until he was 8 and could be thrown out of the orphanage for being too old, as he would be attending a school and not the orphanage's problem anymore. But now here the Hokage was a year early, and none of them knew where the boy of 4 years missing had gone. Hokage-sama, that boy is sleeping upstairs. He needs his rest after all. He is tired from his long day. The Hokage could feel the ire rising and said, then one of you take me to him. I have an important matter to discuss with him. Trying to stop a disaster, the eldest of them there said, Hokage-sama, could it not wait for a few days so that the boy could sleep? Surely it is not so important as to awaken the boy. The Hokage finally had enough. Why can I not see Naruto? Is it that you do not know where he is? The matrons flinched. The Hokage spoke in a calm, deadly voice. No, you know not where he is because none of you have seen him in 4 years, have you not? For 4 years you have neglected to tell me you have lost the boy I had placed in your care. 4 years you took his money without giving it to him, and have used it to buy others things he would need to survive. You will find all of his money and return it to me by the end of the day. I do not care if you must sell your personal belongings or your bodies to accomplish this task, it will be done, or I will have you executed in the village square for child abuse. You owe me a total of 15,000 ryu 3. You will have it by the time I return or you will suffer the consequences. Do I make myself clear? The matrons shivered at the ki being exuded and simply nodded before rushing off to their bank accounts to scrounge up the money they had been stealing for 4 years. The Hokage shined to Naruto's apartment, and finding him cleaned up, took him to eat at the Kamicazi restaurant Naruto had told him he treated himself to on his birthdays. Naruto ate as ravenously as he did the night before and was content. Returning Naruto to his home after having walked around the village for a few hours. He shined to the orphanage for his final act of the night. The matrons were waiting for him with the money in an envelope. He checked the money and said, very well, you will keep your lives. The collection let out a sigh and smiled, thinking that was the extent of their punishment. However, you are all fired and will be sentenced to life in prison for no less than 15 years. Snapping his fingers, the matrons were all escorted away with looks of shock on their faces by ANBU. Sarutobi found the newer matrons and informed them of their promotions and shined to the bank to deposit the money in the account for Naruto. Having finished his reparations, the Hokage finally made his way to his bed and fell asleep. Across town, Karinai was sitting in a bar with her fellow friends. Yugao Yuzuki, a chunin ANBU with a heavy fascination for the sword arts or kenjutsu, and Anko Mitarashi, a chunin, who was the ex-apprentice to the snake Sannin Orochimaru, hated for being associated with him and supposedly being a spy despite the way he left her. Karinai had related the tale of her mission and was gauging her friends' reactions. Yugao was looking starry-eyed at the thought of such an attack that could cut through jutsu, and Anko was thinking of the boy who saved her. So, what are you gonna do, Nai-chan? Anko asked. Karinai sighed and responded, I want to find this boy, he is obviously very skilled and a good person. I would like to ask you guys to keep your eyes and ears peeled for such a person while on your missions, and I will do the same. Yugao immediately answered, didn't he ask you not to look for him? Karinai answered, I don't want to apologize to him, I just want to find out if he really helped only out of the goodness of his heart. Yugao said, well, count me in, I want to find out what attack he used. It sounds amazing. Anko replied, me too, I want to see what kind of person would do such a thing. Karinai sighed and said, thank you guys. I am getting tired of all these perverts going after us just for looks. We will find this guy, and who knows, maybe he will stay here in Konoha if he turns out to be good. Unfortunately, none of the women would hear anything about this mystery boy for almost 6 years. Back to Naruto. So what do you think, Kamicazi? That will be most beneficial to the style I will be teaching you. You will have to work on your handwriting, but if you can apply the seal, it will make you exponentially more powerful without hindering your growth. Naruto smirked, looking at the seal the yondaime used to train his body to handle the Hiraishin technique, and could feel himself getting stronger already. Naruto was ready for training. Time skip 5 years. Naruto cracked his eyes open and beheld his apartment. 5 years it had been since he acquired Kamicazi, and he began his training under the sword master. Good morning, Kamicazi. Good morning, Naruto-sama. How are you feeling after last night? Kamicazi replied. Last night he had stepped up his training to figure out why he could not do that blasted Bunshin no Jutsu. Kamicazi had said that it was because he held too much chakra and could not fine-tune it enough yet to make the clones. It was like putting your finger in front of a fire hose. I am fine, thank you, Kamicazi. Naruto responded as he reviewed his training exercises. He knew the leaf floating, tree climbing, and water walking exercises and could do them all while combing the leaf floating with the other two, but just could not seem to control his vast chakra reserves enough. Deciding to ponder it later, Naruto got up, stretched, and made his way to the kitchen to eat breakfast before going out in the dark, since it was only 5 o'clock, and running his usual laps around Konoha before the populace gets up and sneers at him. He had used the same morning routine after getting settled within his new apartment. He would wake up each morning around 5 o'clock. Do physical training, running, push-ups, sit-ups, and stretching while winding down. He had learned the exercises from Kurisu. Kamicazi had been right. Kurisu was a retired S-rank ANBU. He was feared in many small countries but kept a low profile so as not to attract attention. Kurisu gave him the control exercises, stating that with your chakra reserves you are going to need them. Naruto was a little surprised but accepted Kurisu's help yet again. He had bought all his clothes and supplies from Karisu and was surprised when the ANBU just accepted that he was a fixture there. When one customer sneered at him, Karisu threw him out and told him to inform the rest of the ANBU to stay away if they cannot act civil. Needless to say, because Karisu's store was the best, rivaled only by the Higarashis, none of the ANBU complained, and some actually came to like the blonde when he wasn't pranking. After training himself into the ground for about 5 hours, he would sit down and review some of the chakra theories and history taught in the academy until lunchtime around noon. He would eat lunch made by himself, after learning how to cook again from Karisu, although Karisu's foods would always be spicy. He would train with Kamicazi in the wind style. The style was not so much a style as it was a way of moving. Being one with the wind was the theme of the style. A few set stances, but it was a style meant to be flowing and erratic. You would react to your enemy's moves and expound upon the basic stances. It required a heavily agile body, unmatched reflexes and speed. Power was not necessary, but the training Naruto went through increased his strength to a respectable level for his age. Naruto's creative mind would, as Kamicazi put it within battle, cause a strategist to cream his pants with one glimpse of his thoughts. After training with Kamicazi, he would wind down with a look through the book of seals he had borrowed from the Hokage, whom had not seemed to notice the book was gone. The most ingenious seal that Naruto thought had ever been created, the resistance seal. The resistance seal, when applied correctly, would make it seem as if walking through air was as if walking through water. It would apply resistance opposite from the way you were moving to build up muscles and reflexes, making it the perfect seal to use for Naruto's styles. Naruto made sure not to overmake muscles so that he could remain agile and fast, not being weighed down by bulky muscles. The seals seemed to almost know this, and Naruto's body was streamlined like a runner. Not bulky but hard muscles lying underneath the skin. Recently he had realized he was probably the fastest person within the village when he removed the levels of his resistance seal. This seal surpassed the gravity seal because it did not weigh down on the body, thus it did not prevent growth, which Naruto had already been lacking. Naruto now stood at a proud 4 feet 10 inches, one of the tallest of his age group. Even within his current class he was taller than almost everyone else. In his class few had what it took to be ninja, and even of those only 3 stood out as actually making it. Tenten Higurashi, one of the only non-fangirls within the academy. She could hit a moving target from across the training field. It was easy to see she would become a weapons mistress. Naruto took an interest in her for her love of sharp pointy things, but she had never seen his sword. He was not allowed to bring it to school. Rock Lee, although being dead last, definitely had the guts and determination to be the taijutsu specialist he was training to become. Just looking at his hands proved his dedication. Finally, Rookie of the Year, or as Naruto called it, stick up my ass, Niji Hyuga, acclaimed prodigy that was able to master the Juken, the Hyuga's fighting style. Naruto had stumbled across the modified cage bird seal that the Yondaime had been trying to make, and after gathering some materials started to expand upon it. Once he became a genin, he was rather sure it would only take a few months to make a seal that would allow that rift to be bridged. Naruto made his way to school for the genin test that he was to take today. It was finally the day he would be able to make genin and get further training in the ninja arts. Karisu had given him some low-level jutsus to learn, but nothing with kick enough to do anything besides causing some minor discomfort to other shinobi. He had mastered many of the wind jutsus fast, just as Kamicazi said he would, and could not seem to get really anything above a D-rank fire jutsu. Fire seemed to be out of his grasp, though wind and surprisingly lightning seemed rather fond of him. Unfortunately for him, both of those types of jutsus were in short supply in the land of fire, and he wound up with only 3 C-rank jutsus and nothing above it. Although 2 of the jutsu could be upgraded to a B rank if he pumped more chakra into them, though he wasted a lot of chakra doing so. Naruto arrived at the academy and took his normal seat as the rest of his class filed in. He ignored the opening speech from the teacher and took his test when it was handed to him. He scoffed at the questions they were asking honestly. Could anyone really fail this test? Turning his test over and closing his eyes, he took a nap while waiting the 45 minutes for the test to end. After that he went to the target practice and waited in line to be called up. He reached for his kunai and shuriken and flung them all one by one towards the targets, hitting the targets each time. Next he went to the taijutsu sparring mats and stood in front of a chunin that scowled at him. Naruto smirked in his head. If only I could show my actual taijutsu. Yes, Naruto had come up with a bastardized version of the hummingbird style used by the Yondaime in conjunction with the Hiraishin. The book he stole seemed almost like a journal of Yondaimes. It had clues to the actual katas, but not a comprehensible amount of data, so Naruto used what he could. His mind came up with a style based upon it, and it was as deadly as the hummingbird style if he did say so himself. Although every time he would try to use it in his spars, the teachers would beat him and tell him that he was using the wrong style and make him use the academy style. So he gave up trying to use his own style and decided to hide it along with some of his other abilities. After all, deception is a ninja's best weapon, right? After losing to the chunin, who had not been holding back, he made his way to the ninjutsu portion of the test. Hoping that he would not have to do the clone jutsu. He walked in and saw a chunin with a large scar across his face. He recalled this was Iruka Sensei. He was a nice person who only disliked Naruto when he pranked, and not that seemingly blind hatred the rest of the village held. Okay Naruto, I need you to do the Kawarimi, Henge, and Bunshin no Jutsus. Crap. So much for not having to do the clone. Ah well, might as well give it a shot. Naruto had been able to do the clone jutsu once every 100 times or so, and not come out with a totally dead clone but one that could pass for a few seconds. He just had to hope he could pull it off this time. He did a sealless replacement, and finished the henge beautifully. He concentrated his chakra and put as little as possible into it, and with a muttered Bunshin no Jutsu the smoke revealed 2 dead-looking clones. Naruto hung his head and walked out of the door. I am sorry Naruto, but there is always next year, Iruka said as he left. Naruto left the academy seeing no reason now that he had failed and had to wait another year to try the test. He headed to the Hokage monument to think he was always calmest there. Naruto-sama, you mustn't let this get you down. There are other types of Bunshin, are there not? Kamicazi questioned once he had arrived in his usual spot on the Yandame's head. Hi Kamicazi. But I cannot gain access to the Jutsu library because of the librarians. Ji-sen said he could not help because he cannot show favoritism, and Kurisu has helped so much I do not want to rely on him. Naruto thought back. How about those ANBU who always chase you after a prank? Wouldn't they know the techniques? Questioned Kamicazi, pulling Naruto out of his depression. The pranks, he had kept doing them to test his stealth and speed. He could honestly say he was nigh undetectable when he wanted to be. Only 4 ANBU seemed capable of catching him. One was a dolphin mask that he could swear seemed familiar. He still couldn't figure out how they did it. Indeed, they would know the techniques. In fact, they would know the strongest of them. Kamicazi, my dear sword, what do you say we plan 2 more pranks? One for the ANBU and one for my graduation in a year. Naruto chuckled evilly as he gained that mysterious glint in his eye that made everyone in the village shiver from the wrath of the prankster king. Naruto had already infiltrated the ANBU headquarters when he was younger just to see if he could do it. He had played pranks on everyone in the village to point out weak spots in the village's defense. He had a folder for the Hokage to use as leverage should he ever need it to keep himself safe and be viewed as worthy to the village. When he makes Genin, he plans on giving it to the old man to improve the village. He came up with this plan about a year ago after he had infiltrated the Hyugas, and one of them threatened him afterwards, but they couldn't prove it was him. He decided to be cautious. After all, he had not gotten this far being careless. Right now he needed to survive the village itself. After planning and acquiring his supplies, Naruto stole from the stores for what he needed. It helped his stealth, and he could not eat if he did not. However, he would only steal from the stores that threw him out. The ones that even overcharged him he would leave alone in respect for them. With this policy, he had plenty of money for his shinobi equipment. He had already replaced his original outfit many times when he hit his growth spurt. Even with this spending, Naruto had about 12,000 ryu saved up from what he originally got and his monthly stipend. He was also in the process of making an anti-rape seal. After hearing Karinai's account, he had immediately decided if he would stop rape. He was curious on why his henges were real. He had wondered about it, but once he realized it, he found this would be the best way to save Kunoichi from their fate worse than death. He had 2 problems with it currently: where to get the chakra for the technique for, and how to make his process into the seal. He almost had the seal done, but the chakra was proving a hard thing to find. He figured once he could figure this out, he could market it and gain money in an honest and very good way. Naruto snuck along the rooftops in his prankster outfit. He wore his usual ANBU attire, but he had a few additions and a better mask. The mask covered most of his face and changed his hair back to the black color. He carried his kunai and shuriken, blunted just to make the chasers, if there were any, try to dodge, and if they failed it did nothing more than bruise. Naruto never threw it at a person's face, so the only danger was a male. He never had to use these unless those 4 ANBU found him. He also carried Kamicazi with him strapped across his back, with his left hand being the one to pull the blade because he added another sensor on top of Naruto's already enhanced senses. He had been tested by the Hokage for enhanced senses and had found out he owned senses rivaling the Nin dogs of the Inuzukas. That's better than the Inuzukas themselves. He was about a block from the ANBU headquarters when Kamicazi spoke up. Naruto-sama, there is a team returning to your left. Naruto nodded, having sensed them almost the moment Kamicazi spoke up. He hid in the shadows and watched as they entered the compound. Naruto had stumbled across this place a year ago, and had located the 2 guards always posted there rather easily. One guard was across the street drinking from a bottle of whiskey that was expired about 10 years ago. The other was always sitting in the all-night cafe eating the same dango and reading the book that went out of style about 3 years ago. Naruto snuck past the guard's watchful eyes and reached the roof of the compound. Naruto had managed to steal some basic blueprints from the records office while he had been visiting the old man. So he knew the library with the jutsu was located somewhere near the baths, oddly enough. The exhaust system to keep the scrolls fresh and the baths were connected. Naruto found the vent leading into the compound and slid himself into the tight space. He had hinged himself smaller than normal so he would not make that much noise. It was risky to use even this little amount, but he would make way too much noise if he was his usual size. He managed to crawl all the way to the hallway leading to the library. He avoided a few traps but did not want to risk going in through the ducts to the library for fear of advanced traps he might not be ready for. So after checking that the coast was clear, he dropped down and released his hinge to stop his chakra output. He made his way to the library and opened the door. Wow, not much security, eh? What Naruto didn't know was that the ANBU were getting a new commander tonight, and most were at the naming of said commander. He quickly located the Bunshin section of the jutsu. Ah, here we are. Naruto looked at the collection and wondered why he hadn't thought of this earlier. Quickly grabbing the last scroll titled Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he copied it down with a jutsu he had learned from Kurisu. Kurisu did this for any popular scroll. It copied the scroll from your original to the blank scroll. Rolling the scroll back up, Naruto decided to take a few seconds to check the lightning section and the wind section if he could. He found a few B-ranked lightning and 2 B-ranked wind. Deciding he had overstayed his rather generous welcome, he snuck back to the hallway and made his way to the changing rooms. He put sneezing powder in all of the masks there, first the males then the females, and turned to leave when the door opened to the shower. Heat rolled into the changing room as Naruto turned around to face the person who had caught him. His breath caught in his throat as he beheld the beauty standing in front of him. She had purple hair down to her mid-back. Her D-cup breasts sticking out from the cold compared to her shower. Her chest and groin were covered by a single towel. Her thighs and legs well toned as all ANBU were. Stopping his ogling, he finally looked into the woman's eyes and noticing her amber eyes narrowing in anger decided to beat a hasty retreat. He quickly said Kai and disappeared in a flash. Gomen na Murasakiheim. Purple princess, he hit her in the back of the neck with the butt of his sword and knocked her out. As she fell, the towel she had been holding fell loose and Naruto was treated to her flashing him. Quickly bashing down his forming inner pervert, he covered the beauty again and hinged himself back into his smaller form and re-entered the air ducts. He climbed his way out and headed home for a good night's rest. Time skip next morning. Yuga woke up with a headache. She quickly put her guard up when she then realized she was in the ANBU infirmary. She started to wonder why she was here before she realized what had happened. She shot up and checked for her clothes. She noticed she was garbed in the regular infirmary gown and looked around for her clothes. Noticing them on the chair next to her bed, she put them on and walked off to find her captain to report the disturbance. As much as she wanted to keep the embarrassment hidden, if an unknown managed to infiltrate the headquarters, it needed to be known. Finding her captain and quickly explaining the situation, she was taken to the commander's office. Standing in front of the commander, she was confused as to why she would be taken to the commander for this. Sure, it was important, but something else must have gone down for her to be involved. So Miss Yuzuki, you had a run-in with the unknown assailant last night within the ANBU changing rooms and were knocked out almost as soon as you noticed he was there? Hi. The assailant had black hair, blue eyes, was about 13 to 15 years of age. Carried a shuriken and kunai pouch on his left leg, and had a sword resting along his back. Yugao answered swiftly and respectfully. Interesting. I assume he is the one for all the ruckus this morning. He a worthy prank if I do say so myself. The commander mused. Prank, sir? Yugao asked. Yes, prank. You see, after my inauguration last night, every ANBU who put their masks back on immediately started a sneezing fit that would not let up for several hours. It seems this assailant only knocked you out because you caught him in the act, so to speak. The commander replied. You are dismissed, but if you ever catch this young man, please give him my thanks for brightening up the ANBU's days. It has been many a year since I have had such a good laugh. Yugao saluted and left the room, getting her clean mask back, and was wondering how she could catch such a worthy person. That sword was no toy, it was radiating power, and he radiated skill that should not be found in one so young. She was excited in finding this guy. Now that she thought about it, that sword seemed familiar for some reason. After pondering it for a bit, as she walked back to her apartment, she came across the hilt of the blade. Wait a minute, black hair, a sword with a swirl on the hilt. This was Karinai's swordsman. But why would he be pranking the ANBU? He was supposed to be a wandering swordsman. Putting that out of her mind, now that she thought about it, his eyes did flash red when he disappeared. She was sure this was that boy. Now she had to tell Karinai that he lived here now and that he had gotten better. She was to meet Karinai and Anko tonight anyways. Perhaps she could spar with him. Time skip that night. Karinai was in good spirits. She was due to take the Jounin exams in 2 months and her genjutsu had never been better. She kept finding these random notes that would give her good ideas to come up with good genjutsus. She was now ranked a high B-rank ninja. Her body had filled out, and she could tell she still had some more growing to do. Her breasts were C-cup bordering D-cup. She had grown taller, but only really in the legs, so her breasts seemed a bit bigger than they actually were. She was still the Ice Queen of Konoha. Only one person had she found decent enough to date, and that had been Asuma Saratobi. She was still seeing him on and off, but she could not see doing anything past being friends at this point. She walked into the bar she and her friends always met at. She was looking forward to seeing Yugao. She had been so busy with ANBU lately they had rarely any time to hang out. Enko was still her exuberant self, and had managed to get into the TNI division of the ANBU. She was a Tokubetsu Jounin, 1. She had taken to wearing a mesh shirt with a tan overcoat that did little to hide her body. She flaunted it to say fuck you to all the villagers that scorned her. Karinai was sad for her friend, but Enko would never want pity. So she was the best friend Enko could want. She was hoping to become a Jounin sensei for Hinata Hyuga's sake. She had met her when she was still a chunin and knew she had confidence issues. She also wished to impart her knowledge onto the younger generation to get some genjutsu into their heads. If she passed the Jounin exams in 2 months, she was going to request a team. Turning her attention back to the present, she noticed her 2 friends waiting in the same booth they always had and made her way over. Good evening, Yugao-chan, Enko-chan. Good evening, Nai-chan. Enko responded as exuberant as ever. Good evening, Karinai, Yugao said with a smile. They were all wearing civis, drawing the attention of almost every male within the bar. Karinai sat down and ordered her food along with Yugao and Enko. All ordered sake. Karinai got some yakitori, Yugao some tempura, and Enko some dango. After their food had been delivered, they sipped their sake, making some small talk until Yugao spoke up. I believe I have something that might interest you, Karinai. Karinai's eyebrow rose as a signal to show she was interested, and Yugao complied. Last night I was taking a shower after returning from my most recent mission. I finished my shower and walked into the changing room. The rest of the ANBU were welcoming our new commander. Pausing to take a sip of sake, she saw she had their full attention and continued, I opened the door, and I see a boy about 13 to 15 years of age snooping around within the changing rooms. At this their visages go to hatred. They do not like perverts, as all women have a normal radar against them. I observed him for a second before he turned around. He had a sword strapped to his back with a swirl for the tsuba. This had Karinai's full attention. He had black hair that fell to his mid-back tied together to form a kind of mane. When he turned around I caught a flash of his eyes that were blue. Karinai's eyes fell. Another dead end. She had looked for years. She no longer looked actively but still occasionally asked around. As did her friends. However, upon noticing me he said Kai, and his eyes flashed red before he disappeared and knocked me out. At this their eyes widened. The swordsman seemed to be back within Konoha. But what would he be doing within the ANBU headquarters? Was he a pervert? Yugao saw their thought process and said, I do not think he is a pervert. When I awoke this morning I heard of a prank that had been played upon all the ANBU operatives, that all of them had sneezing powder put within their masks. At this Karinai's face turned to mirth and started to chuckle at Enko's face. She had been caught by the prank and swore whoever it was would pay. Yugao chuckled as well at her friend's face. So Karinai, it seems your swordsman is no longer wandering. If you manage to find him, I would like a match. He came across as one with skills far beyond his years. Karinai nodded and the night continued. Karinai went to bed that night thinking of the noble boy who had rescued her so many years ago. Time skip 2 weeks. Naruto had been trying to find some time to train in the last 2 weeks. He had always hidden his jutsu training from the old man. Deception. It hurt, but Naruto knew if something happened and he was alone he would need people to either underestimate him or not have the correct information. In the past 2 weeks the old man had been here almost daily, and if not him Karisu would stop by. He finally allayed their fears. He was depressed and assured them that he was going to graduate the next time. Finally! A day to myself. Now let's check out that Bunshin Jutsu. You know they only do it because they care. Kamicazi said. So Naruto unsealed the Kage Bunshin and began reading the jutsu. Kage Bunshin. A ranked genjutsu. This jutsu was deemed forbidden by the Nidaime Hokage for the extensive use of chakra it uses. This clone takes half of the original's chakra and makes a solid clone that can fight and recon in place of the original. However, the clone is very fragile, requiring very little actual force to dispel, unlike the water or earth clones. Everything learned within the life of the clone is transmitted back to the original, and all remaining chakra is returned. Then it listed the single hand sign need for the jutsu. Naruto was stunned. This was the perfect jutsu for him. He had extra reserves according to Chris and Kamicazi. This would also help on his control. He could study at the library at the same time. Amazing, the possibilities were endless. He quickly got to work on using the jutsu. About 4 hours later, at about 5 in the afternoon. I got it! Naruto shouted as he looked at his fully formed clone. Congratulations, Naruto-sama, now we can definitely pass next year. Kamicazi stated. Naruto gave a mental nod and decided to train until sundown. He was in the forest behind the Hokage monument. No one ever came near here. So with a cry of Kage Bunshin no Jutsu 150 Narutos appeared. Okay, I want Group 1 of 50 working on tree climbing while combining the leaf floating exercise. Group 2 of 50 working on water walking while combining with the leaf floating. Group 3 of 20 working with cutting those leaves for wind chakra. Group 4 of 20 work on lighting these light bulbs I had. Group 5 of 10 take Kamicazi 5 using your left hand, 5 using your right give me stances, thrusts and slashes upward and downward. Muscle memory worked with the clones also. Naruto summoned 5 more clones. Henjin to someone else and go read in the library. 1 take anatomy we need to finish that seal. 1 find cookbooks. Another elemental theory. Another look up clan laws. Another read the most current laws to date. The 5 clones dispersed and Naruto began physical conditioning after upping his resistance seal to level 4. The Yondaime had been on level 8 when his body could handle the Hiraishin. With Naruto's hyper recovery his body was fixing itself faster, and thus his progress with the seal surpassed the Yondaime's. A few hours later Naruto had decided to head in for the night with all of these clones training. He told them to dispel and unfortunately for him he had not specified to dispel themselves in groups, and they all dispelled at once. Naruto was immediately knocked unconscious. Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes to a sewer. The water was only about ankle level. There were 3 types of pipes along the walls. One was glowing bluish-white, this was the smallest. The largest was reddish-orange. Finally, one that was slightly larger than the bluish-white glowed a healthy crimson with streaks of gold. Confused as to where he was, he spoke out. Hello? Naruto-sama. You are alright. Kamicazi responded. Naruto felt his back for his sword and felt him there as a comforting presence. Where are we, Kamicazi? Naruto asked. We are in your mind, Naruto-sama. I occupy a space within your mind as the wind free and flowing upon a meadow of grass stretching as far as the eye can see, but there is this corner of your mind that I dare not venture. There is an ancient entity that I cannot face without you. Kamicazi replied. Naruto was officially spooked already. If Kamicazi was unsure of himself, then this entity was powerful. Well, Naruto said, might as well find out what that seal on my stomach holds at Kamicazi? That's right, Naruto was almost the seal's master himself. He knew that the seal held something, but the only clue he had to go on was demon. He had his theories, but Naruto was never one to make wild guesses, so he kept it to himself and figured the old man would tell him when he thought he was ready. However, if he had made Genin and not been told, Naruto might have demanded the answer. Naruto started his trek towards the ancient entity. As he continued, he noticed a heavy air. It swirled around with a maliciousness Naruto had not ever felt. The Ki was getting insufferable, yet Naruto went on, and finally came to a room with no ceiling in sight and huge bars kept shut with what appeared to be a single piece of paper with the kanji for seal on it. So my container has finally decided to visit me after all these years. A malicious chuckle filled the air. Naruto asked, who are you? Who am I? Surely they have told you who you carry, worthless Nigen. The voice bellowed. Ki choking Naruto before he regained his senses. Without showing it, the Kyuubi was impressed. Not many could withstand its Ki without debilitating consequences. If I knew who you were, I would have called you your name. Do not insult me. It seems we are stuck together. Let us act civil for now until we can resolve whether we will be friends or not. Naruto responded. Friends? The Kyuubi scoffed. Who would make friends with a demon? Naruto flinched, memories from his childhood flashing before his eyes. Peace, Naruto, I am here. I am your friend. A sentient sword and a powerful one at that. Very impressive, Nigen. Very well, Naruto Uzumaki. My name is the Demon Lord of the Foxes, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto nodded, his suspicions confirmed before asking, is there a reason for attacking my village? Need a demon a reason to cause death and destruction? The Kyuubi said, a grin hanging on its lips as it revealed itself in all its glory, its 9 tails swinging wildly with its reddish-orange fur. No. But I can see through your mask. I wore one for most of my life before making my few friends. Please tell me the real reason. Naruto said, immediately knowing a fake answer from a lie told to prevent pain. The Kyuubi's eyes narrowed. Very good, Nigen, but you have not earned the right to know of the truth. But I would ask a boon of you if you will. Put your hand upon the cage. I wish to see the life my pampered container has lived. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Why would you think I led a pampered life? The Kyuubi responded, that was the last thing your Yondaime, I believe it was, said before he sealed me. See him as the hero he is. Naruto's eyes widened before going to their usual apathetic state. Very well, Kyuubi, but know this. Try anything and I will lock you up in a tighter cage than this, and you will never see the light of day again. Kyuubi was impressed he had the balls to threaten it. Kyuubi chuckled. Very well, Ninja, I will not try anything on word of my demon self. That is something no demon is willing to lose. Naruto nodded, satisfied with the Kyuubi before starting toward the bars. Kamicazi spoke up, be careful, Naruto-sama, what Kyuubi may not consider harmful could actually be harmful to you. Naruto continued his trek, confident and sure. He laid his hand on the bars and said, come Kyuubi, see the life I have lived and see if you respect me after this. Kyuubi laid its paw along the bars and viewed Naruto's life. When the transfer was finished, Kyuubi roared its 9 tails, lashing the bars, trying to get out the cage. Let me out! Those child beaters. They will pay. What rubbish, humans can be more demonic than the worst demon. The Kyuubi continued on its tirade of the villagers before Naruto spoke. Stop, please. The Kyuubi's eyes softened and spoke, no kid, calling you a part of the human race is too high an honor for them. Your life has been the worst I have ever seen. Within Makai it is considered taboo to harm a child, and these villagers have deliberately harmed you. State one request, and I will grant it if it is within my power. Naruto thought long and hard for a request and decided, Kyuubi, could I hold on to the request for a later date? I am content within my life right now. The Kyuubi was a little surprised but nodded. Very well, Kyuubi, I have seen what I had hoped. Most stories do not show you as overly bloodthirsty, and your yokai has healed me many times when I was young. With that being said, Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. The seal flashed, causing the Kyuubi to cover its eyes, and when it opened them it saw a beautiful meadow with oversized game for it to hunt, and a miniature Konoha for it to destroy. The Konoha has a one-time only policy. Once it is destroyed it will stay for a little bit but will disappear. Your one chance on revenge, because I doubt I will let you out. Kyuubi was overjoyed it would finally get some sunshine, and it was not stuck within sewage water. Also, I have given you access to my senses. So you can feel the outside world again. When you are ready, please tell me what really happened the night of your attack. The Kyuubi noticed that trees now represented the seal and they acted as bars to separate it from him. The Kyuubi nodded and Naruto sat down to wait until he woke up. As Naruto faded away some time later, Kamicazi returned to the wind and spoke to Kyuubi without Naruto hearing. We have an amazing master, do we not, Kyuubi-sama? Kyuubi simply looked at the wind before curling up and catching the first sunshine it could in 12 years. Time skip 1 year. Naruto thought about all that had happened in the past year. He had mastered the Kage Bunshin and used it to increase his control. He had learned about weapon balancing and was currently in the process of learning to use Karinai, after which the final was Saban balancing. His chakra control was still shot, which he learned that was due to Kyuubi's chakra being inserted into him. Kyuubi could do nothing about this, but in return for this knowledge of why the Kyuubi was feeling a bit weaker, it taught Naruto a small demonic genjutsu which hid Kamikaze's notable feature, and kept it so that not many villagers would look twice at Naruto, making it seem as if Naruto was unimportant. Naruto had been relieved when it worked because he was scared that the ANBU operative might be friends with Karinai, if only you knew, and wind up putting Naruto in a mess. Naruto was a little suspicious at first because of the Kyuubi actually offering to help, but Kyuubi had made it a point to say not to expect this often, and that having access to his sense more than made up for it. Naruto also noticed a sharpening of his senses even further than before, and when questioning Kyuubi it simply replied, it must be a side effect of me having access to yours. He had gotten put into Irika Sensei's class. It was filled with clan heirs. He had read all the most recent laws of Konoha, so he could not be blindsided by the council for their blind hatred. Kyuubi had asked if Naruto held any resentment at all, and he replied, a bit. I am not sure how to completely forgive them for being simply idiots, but that is also why I can almost not blame them. They are simply too ignorant to see past their hurt. Naruto was mainly angry at the villagers for denying the last wish of a Hokage. Such a thing would be disgraceful to any of the past Hokages, but these people hailed the Yondaime as a hero but did not take his last words to heart. The clan heirs were actually a good batch of shinobi with a couple of regulars that could make the cut, unlike his last class. First was Choji Akimichi, the clan he had always scrounged his treats from. He found out later, he was a jovial soul who would always be seen with a bag of chips within his hands. He was a laid-back fellow who would only really get going if someone called him a fat ass. Next was Shikamaru Nara, the clan of geniuses. He was the epitome of lazy genius with an IQ over 200 and the only one within the class to have seen Naruto as something beyond dead last. He was a formidable opponent, and the only one who could play Naruto to a standstill, or beat him in shogi. Something Chris had taught him the basics of. Next was Shino Aburame, clan of bugs. He was much like Naruto, actually his clan was not well liked for something within his body, so he quickly befriended the quiet logical child and built a camaraderie. He had yet to tell him of his burden, but he was sure Shino suspected something, for his bugs would be wary of Naruto if he would be in a bad mood. Next was Kiba Inuzuka, clan of Nin dogs, trackers and all-around decent shinobi. These led the Hunter Nin division in conjunction with the Aburames. Kiba was loud, brash, obnoxious, and ignorant to a fault. However, he was loyal and courageous, everything a dog would be. You could say he was the Nin dog and Akamaru, his Nin dog, was the human, but he was a good person overall if a bit of a pervert. Next was Sakura Haruno, no clan, just a councilwoman on the civilian council. She was a fangirl through and through but had a smart head on her shoulders that would lead her far into the medanin field if she put her mind to it. Naruto nicknamed her Howler Monkey. Whenever someone mentioned Sasuke, she would go off on how great he is. TCH fangirls. Another was Ino Yamanaka's clan of mind walkers, another fangirl, though not as bad as Sakura. She was nowhere near where she could be within her own training. Another was Hinata Hyuga, clan of nobility and Byakugan within Konoha. She was a weird one. She was shy, timid, and nice. Almost everything Hyugas are not, she was. She was the only one Naruto would not consider a fangirl, but she was nowhere near her actual level of strength because of her kindness and crush on himself. She had only known him a year, but Naruto knew if he was on her team he would have to break her heart so she could function properly. Finally, the emo king himself, the council's golden boy, Sasuke Uchiha, clan of the Sharingan. It allows the user to copy any ninjutsu, genjutsu, or taijutsu it sees and use it as your own. When Sasuke was 5, his older brother had murdered the rest of his family except him and left him as a self-acclaimed avenger. Naruto felt sorry for the boy for losing his family but was pissed on how he ignored the adoration of his fangirls, expected everything to be handed to him on a silver platter, and was only gaining power to kill. All in all, Naruto did not like Sasuke Uchiha one bit. Iruka-sensei walked into class and after using his demon head no jutsu got the class to quiet down. He passed out the written test and Naruto answered it as easily as he did the last year. Laying his paper face down, he drifted off to sleep as he saw Shikamaru doing the same. He woke up to Iruka's yelling and headed out to the target practice. He got in line for the practice and waited for his turn. When Sasuke's turn came up, he grabbed all of them with his hands, 5 shuriken in one and 5 kunai in the other, and flung them all at the same time. He hit every bullseye. Naruto, sure he was going to pass, walked up right during the applause, grabbed all of them with his hands and without looking at the targets flung them at the targets. Ha! You can't even hit the bullseye. Sasuke smirked. Iruka-sensei, could you check where the kunai and shuriken landed, please? Naruto said in a calm voice. Iruka rechecked the weapons and gasped, you were not aiming for the bullseye, were you? No, Iruka-sensei. Naruto passes this with extra marks. After getting yelled at by fangirls, Iruka explained. Naruto did not hit the bullseye, that is true, however, each of his hits would be deadly to the enemy, and your enemy will not always allow you a free shot. Sasuke ground his teeth. Lucky shot. Naruto failed the taijutsu yet again because of Mizuki-sensei, the same from last year, not allowing his own personal style, and not holding back. Naruto was nonplussed, he was sure he was going to graduate. Naruto walked into the ninjutsu portion of the test and listened to his instructions. I need you to use Kawarimi, Henge, and Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto, to pass you must show each. Hi Iruka-sensei, can it be any Bunshin? Naruto asked. Iruka just nodded but narrowed his eyes at the question. Naruto replaced himself with Mizuki-sensei. He henged himself into a perfect example of the Sandang pipe and all. He henged into Sasuke brooder look and all. Finally, with a soft cry of Kage Bunshin, 5 Kage Bunshin appeared next to Naruto. You passed, Naruto, congratulations. Iruka said, sincerely surprised about the Kage Bunshins. Naruto placed his headband upon his head and walked back to sit in the classroom. Iruka walked back into the room and said, okay everyone, please report back here in 2 days' time for team placements, and to find out who is Rookie of the Year. Dismissed, the young ninja dispersed into the crowds of waiting parents, and Naruto went home with a smile on his face at finally being a ninja and take that first step to his dream. The Hokage sighed looking at the team placements. This flawed system seemed to hurt more than help. Indeed, because Naruto had come in at the last year instead of being mid-class as he had been trying to do, instead of excelling he had wound up tied with Kiba Inuzuka for the dead last position of the class. No doubt due to tampering by the academy, but the Hokage had no proof so he had to accept it. He did not expect more than 3 teams to pass the final test, but the question was who would get those teams. Kakashi Hatake was one. Sarutobi was considering his son for the Ina Shikacho's 2nd generation. That left 1 spot to fill. The Hokage went and looked at the list for the Jounin Sensei and chuckled. Oh, this will be interesting. A drop of blood fell from the Hokage's nose before he wiped it and decided on the teams. He would let people plead their case later, but he was rather happy with the way he had the teams, and only someone with a very good argument would change them. The Hokage mused as he waited for more of his damned paperwork to arrive. The past 6 years had been good to Konoha. He had managed to wrest most of his power back at this point, though the council still held too much power. He had an iron grip when it came to enforcing the laws now. He chuckled as he thought of the pranks Naruto had played and hoped the boy realized that it was twofold. He was pretty sure he did, but Naruto was one of the people the Hokage had a hard time reading since he acquired his blade and began living on his own. Oh, he could get a bead on what Naruto was thinking, but he always managed to surprise him. That ANBU prank was hilarious. He sighed as he looked out at the Hokage monument when it shimmered and wait a minute shimmered. All of a sudden the Hokage monument was covered in paint for the Hokages. A tree painted on the first face, a sweat drop on the second, a nosebleed for the third, and for the fourth a yellow streak across his nose. Sarutobi was amused and angry at the same time. Funny for his grandson's skill and angry for showing him as a pervert, and nothing more. Then a primate shimmered onto the third's face. Sarutobi nodded his head as if that settled the issue and started to laugh. Time skip that evening. All of the Jounin Sensei had arrived -1. The Hokage was waiting for this person and had told him to be here 3 hours earlier, so when he arrived 1 hour late the Hokage sighed and said, "Welcome, Kakashi." Kakashi's eye narrowed. "You told me to come earlier than the actual time, didn't you?" The Hokage chuckled. "Now why would I do something like that?" Whistling innocently. Before sporting a grin that had some of the former ANBU flinching. "Now then, let us get on with the team placements, shall we? Please, if you have any preferences, state them now." Kakashi spoke up. "I would like Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki." Many were surprised who would want the demon boy. The Hokage narrowed his eyes. "Why Naruto?" "Because they have a form of rivalry, and it will spur them both on, but Sasuke must remain stronger for it to work," Kakashi stated. "So you would intentionally weaken a potential ninja just for the betterment of another?" Pathetic Kakashi. "Sasuke is granted, and Naruto I will see." Kakashi seemed taken aback by the venom in the Hokage's voice before nodding and sitting down to read his favorite little book. Only to cry out, "My eye!" Someone had changed out his precious smut with "Yaoi." There was a chibi Naruto with AV sign. All the females chuckled when they noticed it, and made notes to treat the boy nicer next time they saw him. Asuma spoke up. "I would like to request the next generation Ina Shikacho." "Very well, any objections?" None of the Jounin spoke up, so the Hokage nodded and jotted it down, "Granted." The Hokage looked up and noticed someone he was hoping for. Karinai had made it to her Jounin rank and she was willing to take on a team. She stepped forward and said, "I would like Hinata Hyuga. The rest of my team I would prefer a tracker team." The Hokage nodded, then a small smile graced his face. "Any objections?" Karinai was a little worried when the Hokage smiled. That usually meant he planned something, and with him being the guiding force for the strongest ninja village in the land, that was something to be wary about. No one spoke up and the Hokage smiled a bit wider. "Granted," he said with some enthusiasm. He chuckled pervertedly in his head. Oh, did he have the best prank? The rest of the pickings went by fast with no one of particular interest until they were finally done. The Hokage was pleased with all of his Jounin except Kakashi. That remark about Naruto reminded him too much of what Naruto had already gone through in life, and said, "Okay, the decisions have been made and the teams are." Time skip next morning. Naruto awoke from his peaceful slumbers with Kyuubi and Kamicazi. "Morning, Kyuubi Kamicazi," he thought. The fox replied fastest, "Kit," and Kamicazi right after, "Good morning, Naruto-sama." He was in a good mood. Today was when he would find out what his team was. But this was a bad omen to Naruto. Whenever he was in a good mood, something always happened to send it down the toilet. Now Naruto was by no means a pessimist, but he believed that very good mornings were really only okay when you had someone to share it with. Somewhere within the city, and in Mizu-no-Kuni, 4 women sneezed. Deciding to just enjoy it while it lasted, he started on his usual morning ritual but did not do as much training as normal so as to get that new outfit he had promised himself and to be ready for whatever his team training may entail. After breakfast, Naruto made his way to Chris' shop yet again. He had told Chris pretty much everything about himself. He was his closest confidant, and he could count on Chris to help him should he need it. As such, he knew about all his pranks and honestly roared with laughter at what he did a year ago. Walking into the store and greeting Chris, "Ohayo Chris and I sen Ohayo Ototo." Chris replied back, "Coming to get your new wardrobe?" "Hi," Naruto responded. Chris pulled out a long black box and set it on the counter. "Consider this a present from me to you for graduating. It has repair seals and growth seals, so it should be nigh indestructible." Naruto took the box and opened it. Inside lay a beautiful coat. It was black with some streaks of crimson on it. Upon its back rested a Kyuubi surrounding a sword with wind whipping it up, seeming almost as if the Kyuubi was protecting the sword while at the same time riding the wind. Naruto was stunned with the intricacy of the needlework, and hoped he never broke this. That is ninja silk made from neon spiders, so only the hottest fires will burn the cloak. Wear it with pride. I have set aside some of the money you paid when you came here and have saved up to make this for you, with you paying half. "Arigato Nisan," Naruto said. Naruto ventured further into the store to pick out compliments to his new coat, choosing a mesh shirt to go underneath a crimson shirt made with lightweight metal links within the shirt, black cargo pants with a place for his kunai and shuriken and a hidden pocket for some saban. He grabbed some sturdy sneakers to house his feet. He always wondered why a ninja would wear sandals when he would be attacking with his feet. Unfortunately, boots were too heavy, but these lightweight sneakers with a steel-woven tip made him a bit toe-heavy, but it would have to work for now. So wearing his new outfit, he stepped out of the changing booth and donned his new cloak. It reached down to about mid-calf and did not obstruct mobility. All in all, he was very pleased with his new outfit. He paid for his outfit and ordered about 5 more like it and headed off to school. As he walked, he received weird looks, but few were of hatred. They were wondering who would wear the 9 tails on his back, but he was proud of it. Damn straight you're proud, QB remarked. Naruto smirked behind his face mask. He had finished the anti-rape seal and got the old man to test it, and he had some punk named Jiraiya to look over the seal. It had been accepted as a revelation, but he had not announced when it would hit stores or even that he was going to sell it. None of the women had been told of it yet to avoid a riot because Naruto refused to sell it yet. He had finished its testing days ago and was finally cleared to get it start selling. He found chakra holding seals within the Shiki Fuin and modified them to hold chakra so the henge/transformation would last up to a month. It may not save all of the women, but it would save a good amount. It worked by storing chakra in it when it was applied and had a one-time usage. Once activated, it would remain active until the kunoichi decided to cut it off. Because of the small amount of chakra a henge takes, the small henge could last a month before dispelling. Once the technique was stopped or dispelled, you had to reapply the seal to have access to it again. As a side note, it was able to be turned off. It activated when a person tried to invade the kunoichi's or if the kunoichi activated it. The seal would sense the intrusion and automatically activate should the kunoichi have it turned on. This kept them from being raped while knocked out. It would knock the person back with a small burst of chakra and engage the henge. No side effects have surfaced, and it was hailed as genius even by Jiraiya. The caged bird seal was next on his list after that. Naruto liked seals, but too many could become a problem within the world. He would make some for his family home and the like, but that field was too dangerous to tamper with. Naruto arrived at the academy. He made quite the imposing figure. He had grown a few inches in the last year, making him a flat 5 foot with his cloak billowing in the wind, his face mask covering his mouth and cheeks, and the hilt of his sword, the swirl, is hidden by that demonic genjutsu, sticking up from his right shoulder. Some of the students avoided him outright, and he smirked underneath his face mask as he made his way to the classroom for what was, hopefully, the final time. When he walked in, all of the class froze, stunned at the new appearance. He had never come in so blatantly obvious. Trying to look more like Miyado, Sasuke said, trying to bring some of the attention back to him. No, if I were, I would cut my hair to look like a duck's ass, Naruto responded quickly. Now that he was a genin, he could let loose a little because the council could not touch him. The rest of the class snickered after looking at Sasuke's hair. Sasuke nedded and turned around to continue his brooding, satisfied his fangirls had returned their attention. Naruto sat down next to Shikamaru and Shino. Morning, Shino, Shika. Shino and Shikamaru looked at Naruto and responded morning before going back to their usual quiet selves. Naruto looked around and waited for Iruka to get here for the team placements. He hoped he would not get the Uchiha or any of his fangirls. God, they were annoying. He noticed Hinata's blush and really hoped he would not be on her team either. He would break her heart to make sure she stayed alive, but he did not relish the idea of hurting a woman. It is for the best, Naruto-sama. She cannot remain the way she is if she is to survive, Kamicazi remarked. Kill or be killed, QB simply said. While Naruto had been musing, Iruka had entered and started his speech on what it means to be a ninja and all the responsibilities it entails, and he finally came to the team placements. So I wish you luck in your new careers. Now, Team 1 will be. Naruto tuned him out and felt sorry for the ones who were going to fail the next test for genins. He was sure the jounins were to test them because the academy test did not make a ninja ready for the rigorous life of ninja. Team 7 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Kiba Inuzuka. Ignoring the cries of true love prevails and 2 head smacks against the wood, Iruka continued. Team 8 will be Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto's head picked up. Shino Aburame, Naruto nodded at his new teammate and comrade, happy so far, and Hinata Hyuga thump. Everyone turned to see Hinata passed out on the floor. Naruto groaned and looked at Shino. Shino seemed amused at the turn of events with a hidden sadness at what Naruto was going to have to do. Shino was one of Naruto's only friends, them being the old man, Chris, Shika, and Shino. Naruto was close to Choji, but he was more of an affiliate than a friend. So he knew what Naruto planned for their new teammate. Team 9 is still in circulation, so Team 10 will be Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akimichi, and Shikamaru Nara. Your Jounin senseis will be here shortly. Good luck once again. With that, Iruka exited. Karinai was walking to go pick up her team when she thought back to the team placements. Author Yami-style flashback no jutsu. The teams will be. They were shocked when they heard Kakashi was not getting who he wanted. It was the first time he had actually requested somebody, and he was being turned down. Karinai was quite happy. The way he talked about Naruto showed he did not care at all. Kakashi spoke up, Why is Karinai getting him? She did not even request him. The Hokage narrowed his eyes, angry he had been questioned as to his methods after his earlier outburst. Because she will treat him fairly, not merely as a stepping stone for another. What is your ultimate rule, Kakashi? Kakashi bowed his head in shame when he thought about that and said, Hi Hokage-sama. Karinai spoke up then, I am happy, however. What does Uzumaki-san bring to a tracker team? The Hokage chuckled. I see none of you read the report I send out. I had hoped one would notice. He has sense advanced further than a Nin dog. This set the Jounin ablaze with jealousy at such high sense that they had to train for years to reach. He will be the perfect addition, and Kiba will balance out Team 7 while giving them what they need, a tracker and close combat expert. Naruto will become your ninjutsu expert, and with Hinata's Jukin and Shino's bugs combined with your genjutsu, it is an all-around perfect team setup. After the Hokage's explanation, no one had a comeback for why she should not have him. You are all dismissed. Karinai, please stay a moment. Karinai nodded her assent and waited while the others filed out. The Hokage put up a privacy seal and said, Now that no one can hear us, let me hear your opinion of Naruto. Karinai responded almost immediately. I see no wrong in him, Hokage-sama. His pranks brighten our day, and if he were the fox, why would he do such things? He is simply a misunderstood boy who is yearning for attention and guidance. The Hokage stared at her a full 3 minutes before sighing and saying, I am glad you feel that way. I am aware you are friends with ANBU Nico, correct? Karinai nodded. Please bring her with you when you test your teams. She will not have any missions for a few days. Naruto is much stronger than he appears. He has a sword that I think Nico might find interesting. That mischievous glint back in his eye. The Hokage said, You are dismissed. Karinai turned around and walked out, wondering about the enigma that is Naruto. Author Tenchi style, flashback no Jutsukai. She continued on her way with Yugao in regular Jounin attire next to her, carrying her sword. After explaining to Yugao the Hokage's suggestion, she immediately agreed, happy to see someone so young interested in swordplay. They walked up to the door with the rest of the Jounin Sensei and proceeded to enter. Naruto watched as the door swung open and in walked 11 people. His eyes widened as he took in the last 4 though. Hatake Kakashi, the copy ninja, son of the White Fang, and so-called prodigy or Konoha. Asuma Sarutobi, son of the old man, wielder of trench knives and the only other wind user within Konoha, part of the 12 ninja guardians who protect the Fire Lord. But it was the final 2 who had him sweating bullets. Murasaki, who he had found out from Chris, was Yugao Yuzuki, and his own Megami-chan, Karinai Yuhi. He caught like a deer in the crosshairs. Kyubi was amused by the predicament. He was not expecting to have both of them here as Jounin Sensei. He watched as they scanned the room and waited with bated breath as their eyes passed over him. He had removed his own genjutsu, but his sword's hilt remained hidden. They did not linger on him, and he let out a sigh of relief, which quickly turned into curses to the old man, for he was sure to have set this up. Teammate, please follow us, Karinai said and motioned for them to follow her and Yugao. Damn, now I can't use Kamicazi. Do you not think it would be okay? Perhaps she has done as you asked and put it behind her, Kamicazi remarked. Naruto responded, perhaps, but I will still try to refrain from using you if that is okay, Kamicazi. I am not happy, Naruto-sama, but you do it for the right reasons. I will accept this for now, but should you put yourself in danger, I will not hesitate to take control of your arm and pull myself. Consequences be damned. Naruto was a little surprised at Kamicazi but accepted nonetheless. He got up with Shino and Hinata and headed out to their senseis. Once they were outside, Karinai turned and said, Meet us at Training Ground 8 in about 20 minutes. And both she and Yugao shined away. Naruto made a pointed look at Shino. Keep Hinata busy for the 20 minutes was the silent message Naruto sent, and Shino nodded as Naruto shined to the 2 women to inform them of Hinata's crush and how he was going to break it. Karinai and Yugao appeared in the training grounds area. It was an all-around training area with some rocky places, a forest, a small waterfall, and a meadow. Not 1 minute later, Naruto shined in as well with a little burst of air. Both Jounin were stunned that he could do such a high-level technique already, but hid their surprise well. He turned to them and smiled, or it appeared he did, and spoke. Unfortunately, we are probably going to get off on the wrong foot. I am about to do something that must be done to allow this team to succeed. Shino is taking care of the preparations, but you must not interfere until I give the signal. The Jounin were surprised. Here was a Genin telling them what to do. Karinai spoke up, What are you going to do? Naruto smiled sadly and said, Break a girl's heart. At that moment, Hinata walked into the training ground, followed closely by Shino. The Jounin were stunned at his declaration, and he spoke up saying, Well, maybe we should introduce ourselves. That snapped them out of their stupor, and they started the introductions. Yes, well. I am Karinai Yuhi. I like genjutsu, Enko-chan, Yugao-chan, and romance novels. I dislike perverts and that orange book that shall remain nameless. My dream is to be the foremost genjutsu master in the world and to see you get to Jounin, Karinai said. I am Yugao Yuzuki. I like Kenjutsu, Enko-chan, Karinai-chan, and mystery novels. My dislikes are the same as Karinai. And my dream is to become a Kenjutsu master and pass it on to my kids," said Yugao. "You will call us Karinai-sensei and Yugao-sensei. Now Shino, you're up." "I am Shino Aburame. I like Naruto, bugs, and learning about different types of bugs. I dislike those who kill bugs for no reason. My dream is to become clan head and help Naruto achieve his," Shino said. "I am Hinata Hyuga. I like lavender," and she glanced at Naruto. "I dislike perverts, and the caged bird seal. My dream is to abolish the caged bird seal and become clan head." Imagine her stuttering. Hinata stuttered out and Karinai smiled at the shy young girl. Naruto sighed as he caught her glance. "I am Naruto Uzumaki. I like foxes, kenjutsu, ninjutsu, and seals. My dislikes are perverts, rapists, and child beaters. My dream for the future is to become the strongest shinobi in the land to protect all my precious peoples." Karinai blinked and smiled softly at her team. She got a good bunch. Now it was time to test them. But before Karinai could speak, Naruto beat her to it again. "Hinata, if there were another test for Genin to become Genin besides what was taught in the academy, what would it be based on?" "Shino?" After a few seconds, Hinata's eyes widened at her answer, and Shino nodded. They said in unison, "Teamwork." "Hee, smart kids at Karinai-sensei?" Karinai was flabbergasted. He deduced there was another part of the test, and completed it all without even being given the test. Who is this kid? Definitely not the dead last of the academy. "Now Hinata, what would you say would be the best teamwork a team could come up with?" Naruto questioned. This put Karinai on edge. She knew of Hinata's crush, and was hoping Naruto would not crush her. Shino put himself in the way and shook his head at Karinai, a clear indication not to interfere. "Ah no, I am not sure, Naruto-kun." Hinata stuttered again. Naruto steeled himself, and said being able to kill one another. Hinata seemed confused until Naruto took a taijutsu stance that had Yugao gasping. Yugao recognized that style even if it wasn't the true style. It was the fourth style. Where did he get information on that it should be locked up in the Hokage vault? Naruto lunged forward as fast as his seals would allow, and started to fight Hinata. He went for a right hook. She blocked and spun away to get some distance, and took her stance and hesitantly activated her Byakugan. "What are you doing, Naruto-kun?" Hinata stuttered. "I am breaking you of your naive ways, Hinata, and allowing you to fight to your full potential by killing you." With that, he put his deadly taijutsu to actual work for the first time, accurately dodging her Juken strikes because she would not attack any vitals and delivering debilitating strikes on his own. Karinai and Yugao watched transfixed and horrified. Naruto was actually hurting his teammate. Nothing too hurtful, but she was clearly going to be hurting in the morning. Finally, after a nasty roundhouse kick, Naruto stood looking down on Hinata. "You are weak, Hinata. You allow others to walk all over you and will not fight back. This team will not continue with you as you are. You must be willing to attack and kill. A ninja is destined to kill. It is our lot in life. If you are afraid to take a life, then you do not belong within the shinobi ranks." He then leaned down and cupped her chin and pulled her eyes to his. "That is what makes you weak and what makes you strong. Your kindness is rarely found within a human. Draw strength from it. Allow yourself to be kind to those around you. Use that kindness that makes you want to protect someone to kill your nice side within battle, Hinata. You must be able to strike me in the heart with a Juken strike for sparring with me while ignoring my vitals means you will ignore the vitals on a bandit. What happens when that bandit you are fighting turns around and kills me because I trusted you to have my back but you held back not wanting to kill? Do not relish in killing. Simply do it because you must. Your crush for me is built out of adoration. Adore yourself. Climb to your peak and become the serious kunoichi you are destined to be." Hinata stood with tears in her eyes and said, "Hi, Naruto." She would not call him Naruto-kun, not after that. Karinai was angry that he had been so brutal, but what he said seemed to have worked, and Shino lowered his bugs. "I am sorry for resorting to such extreme measures, Hinata, but for this to work, I need you to focus. Do not love me. I am incapable of loving you. I will not allow myself to. I have noticed the hatred of my village just as you have, and you know your father would never allow it. Try Kiba, he is a bit of a pervert, but if you make him yours he will be loyal to a fault." Hinata nodded, still crying but with determination shining in her lavender orbs. Satisfied he had accomplished what needed to be done, he walked up to Shino and said arigato. Shino punched him in the jaw. "Don't ever hit your comrades again and I will consider it thanks enough." Shino was not happy he went further than he had planned, but he accepted it. His logical side said it was for the best, but he needed to get that out of his system. "Hi, Shino." Naruto was not angry, he knew what Shino was thinking. Karinai just shook her head. It seemed she got the crazy bunch. But they would be great, she was sure of that. Already showing a camaraderie that was rarely seen even within Konoha. "Alright, since I have seen Hinata's fight and Naruto's taijutsu." Shino, come spar with me. Taijutsu only. I wish to see where you stand. About 40 minutes later. Karinai was breathing slightly fatigued while Shino was sweating bullets. Stamina was not their strong suit. Enough, Yugao, would you like to test Naruto's blade? Yugao nodded, her eyes shining. Naruto thought, so much for not using you Kamicazi. You ready? Hi Naruto-sama. You have only used me to kill some worthless bandits since those Genins. This will be a true test of your skills' progress. Naruto walked to the edge of one training ground and asked. So what are the rules, Yugao-sensei? Yugao pondered for a moment. Kenjutsu only, no jutsu. Naruto raised his eyebrow at the little limitations and said, very well, let us begin. He got into his stance, his body completely relaxed, and unsheathed his sword with a slight shing sound mirrored by his opponent. His sword point facing towards the ground. He whispered Kai and released the level 5 resistance seal down to level 3 so he could survive the coming ordeal. He said, whenever you are ready, sensei. Yugao took in his stance. It seemed to be full of holes in defense. Obviously an amateur swordsman. She watched him careful. He remained still, only really moving when the wind would blow across the training ground. They stood there for 2 minutes before Yugao moved, dashing across the meadow at low chunin speeds. Naruto saw her coming a mile away. He had already moved his weapon into the block before she swung. She came from high and stroked down to come across his chest in an arcing pattern. Their blades collided with a resounding clang. 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 Every attack she tried on him. Every skill was blocked. She decided to step it up. Moving to low jounin speeds, he seemed to be slowing down and managed to block most of the cuts, but he would always avoid the hits. A downward slash blocked. A thrust parried and thrown away. A horizontal slash backstepped and stepped up into her guard. He was showing skills of a Kenjutsu master. Indeed, according to Kamicazi, Naruto has almost completed his own style of wind style. Once mastered, it would be unable to be copied for the erratic movements required, and should someone try to copy without the proper training, it would result in horrible muscle pains and possible tearing. Finally, after 20 minutes of straight Kenjutsu, Yugao stepped back. She was breathing slightly heavy but could see Naruto was only slightly winded, that legendary stamina of his holding out. She admired the blade and could say it seemed familiar. All of a sudden Naruto's eyes turned red and he looked into the trees to his right. Yugao-sensei. Protect Hinata, Shino, get with Karinai-sensei. As soon as he shouted, 2 nins came out of the forest. One wearing a scratched headband from IWA, looking to be a jounin by his attire. The other was wearing a scratched headband from Kuma, looking to be a chunin. Well, look who we have here. The Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, Karinai Yuhi. Swords mistress Yugao Yuzuki. And some frightened genin. The IWA nin scowled. You killed my brother, you bitch of a mistress. Looking fiercely at Karinai. I will bring the Byakugan back to my village, and I will be hailed as a hero. Perhaps I will be allowed to father the first of the new Byakugan. He finished with a perverted leer at Hinata, who shrunk back. How the hell did these guys get within the city walls? Naruto thought as he gauged his opponents. Naruto spoke up and said, well, you have about 5 minutes before the ANBU get here, so let's get started, nay? I will take a Kumo nin. Yugao-sensei, stay next to Hinata till this is finished. Shino, assist Karinai in her battle. They all nodded and went to their respective jobs as they faced off. The chunin sneered. You think you can take me, little boy? I was fighting battles before you were sucking bottles. Naruto shook his head. Enough banter, let's get this started. Futon, de Tapa, great breakthrough. Blowing out of his mouth, he sent a large wind at the chunin, who just stuck to the ground and retaliated. Raiton, Kaminari Saji, lightning surge. The lightning spread across the ground, going after Naruto. Naruto jumped back and avoided the attack. He sent another jutsu at him, Futon, Renkuden, spiraling fist. The ball of compressed air went flying at the enemy and Naruto came charging right after it with his sword drawn. The enemy nin jumped and dodged the jutsu but came down to Naruto, attempting to slash him on his downward arc. He quickly put his hand guard up and blocked the strike, starting a fierce close combat fight. Naruto sent another slash his way. The enemy nin, using lightning manipulation, put some electricity in his hands and went to grab the blade, expecting his chakra-enhanced gloves to catch it. He screamed a few seconds later when he noticed how the blade dispelled his lightning and cut right through his hand. Nice work, Kamicazi. You have advanced well to defeat a chunin at this point, Naruto-sama. Once he realized the nin was still screaming, he promptly took advantage of the situation and beheaded him. Confident he has dispatched his enemy, he turned around to look at the other fight going on. He cursed in his head and disappeared with a kai and a burst of speed. A few moments earlier, the fight had been going well, with Karinai stopping the jounin with her genjutsu, and Shino sucking him dry of chakra with his bugs, when it all changed. They heard a scream from the other ninja and their opponent seemed to sense the genjutsu at the same time. He broke the genjutsu and after spewing a fire dragon jutsu on all the surrounding bugs proceeded to make hand signs. Karinai tried to catch him in another genjutsu but he finished his jutsu right as she did, and it did not catch in time. So now Karinai and Shino were staring down a fast-moving spike of earth with fire rolling around it making it seem like a flaming bullet. Karinai knew she did not have the speed to dodge or pull off a kawarimi, and stood there looking in abject horror at how she was going to die on her first day as a sensei. I wonder what that swordsman is doing now. That's when someone showed up in the path of the bullet holding a sword high. Naruto cursed as he had wanted to keep this a secret. His crimson aura flowing around him unknowingly dispelling the demonic genjutsu. He swung his sword down like he did so many years ago and spoke the name of the attack. Benekase it sent the wave cutting through the bullet and saving his sensei and friend and because of the genjutsu cast by Karinai slicing the opposing Jounin's arm and leg off. He screamed and fell down to his knee. Naruto ignored the 3 gasps behind him, 2 from recognition, 1 from the brutality, and walking over to the enemy, beheaded him as he did his comrade. Sighing once more. Looks like the fox is out of the bag, Kit. Though I have to say you have quite the devious mind to account for every interaction but a fight here, Kyubi said before laying down for a fox nap. He pulled down his face mask. No reason trying to deny it now. Damn you old man, I am sure you set this up. He turned around to face the music. Karinai couldn't believe it. Here was the swordsman who had saved her so many years ago. Living right under her nose. It was the pariah of the village. Then another thought occurred to her. The Hokage lied to her. He knew he was here and told her otherwise. Oh, she was pissed. Yugao was transfixed on the blade. It had appeared in her dreams a few nights in the past year. She would always wonder who it was who could prank ANBU with a sword. She had suspected Naruto, but he never had a sword with him so she could never verify it. That swirl and that attack, such grace and definition. Oh, she had to know more. Hinata and Shino were just in awe of the attack and seeing their teammate kill 2 higher-ranking ninja. Hinata was wondering if she could get as powerful. Shino was wondering if he had always been this powerful and if this was the reason for his bug's skittishness. Naruto turned around and Karinai and Yugao gasped yet again at the red eyes shown by their young charge. Hello again, Megami-chan, Murasaki-heim, been a while has it not? Naruto spoke, having a deeper voice than normal with his battle mode activated. Whenever Naruto had activated this state before, he would gain speed and strength as well as better eyesight. After contacting Kyubi, he asked if it was its chakra he was tapping into, but Kyubi said it wasn't, so he just chalked it up to a bloodline or something since he could not accurately account for another power source. Shino and Hinata were a little confused as to the names until they saw the looks of shock on their sensei's face. Naruto, I believe an explanation is in order, Shino stated. Naruto sighed and said, Hi, follow me, we will go to the Hokage's office. What I have to say should not be heard by the wrong ears. All of them just nodded as Naruto deactivated his battle mode and his features returned to normal. He sheathed Kamicazi and they all shined to the Hokage's office. Hokage's office. Naruto and his team shined into the office and Naruto glared at the Hokage. I know you had something to do with this, you old geezer. Damn it, I had a reason for that request. The Hokage blinked and then took in the state of the team and said, what happened? Yes, I put you with Yugao and Karinai, but nothing else should have happened. After explaining the stuff on the team training ground and handing in the 2 heads which gained them a C rank and A rank missing Nin bounty, the Hokage shook his head. I had hoped you would have built a little bit of your relationship before having to discard with your pretenses, though I think this will be good for you. Karinai spoke up before anyone else though and asked, why did you lie to me about him, Hokage-sama? Me too, Yugao pitched in. The Hokage turned his eyes to Naruto with a questioning glance. Naruto sighed and scratched his head. Because I told him to. Karinai turned a hurtful gaze on him and Yugao was just shocked he wouldn't want recognition for what he had done. I suppose I should start at the beginning. Let's get some food and get comfortable. This is going to be a long story. Are you going to tell them everything, Naruto-sama? Kamicazi spoke up. Hi, if it is okay with you. I must trust these people and they have proven trustworthy so far. Just be careful mentioning you can speak with me. These people, even the Hokage, are fearful of what they don't understand. Kyubi informed. I will leave out talking to you and just say I met you and you threw me out the mindscape. Keeps with your demon persona, right? He said with a little bit of sarcasm and returned his attention to the people sitting around the Hokage's office with some food on the table. Sighing one last time, he began his tale. Gigi put up a silencing barrier. Please, after pausing for the glow of the barrier. It all started on my 7th birthday. I passed the exam and am now assigned to your team. Should you not wish to work with me anymore, I will understand. The Hokage waited in bated silence to see what his teammates would do. Shino spoke up rather fast and said, so you are hated for what you carry as well. It makes no difference what you hold. You have saved the village every day you draw a breath. You will always be my first and best friend. Having said that, he bumped fists with Naruto, and he waited patiently for Hinata's decision. Hinata finally spoke up after about 2 minutes of silence. Naruto, that is a lot to take in. Though it is amazing what happened to you when you were younger. I would be proud to call such a brave person as you as my friend. Surprising even herself by not stuttering. Naruto laughed, happy for his first few friends' acceptance, and said, well, Hinata, it seems my lesson is working rather fast, eh? He turned to the 2 elder women within the room, and his eyes saddened for having hurt them. They had been looking for him, but he was trying to save them pain. Gomen Megami-chan Murasaki-heim. I had tried to hide from you in an attempt to keep you from pain, but it seems all I did was compound on it. Yugao spoke up, damn right, you little blonde swordsman. Well, we will have to have an all-out Kenjutsu battle to the end of time to figure out whether I should forgive you. She turned away from him with a small smile on her face. Karinai was still trying to digest everything he had said. Well, I guess I could forgive you, but can we talk after this? Naruto nodded and said that he would take her to his apartment later. The Hokage then spoke up. So Naruto, you did not think it prudent to tell me you had a sentient sword, eh? Naruto smiled sheepishly. That you had also taken the book of seals written by the Yondaime. That you had made contact with the Kyuubi. Naruto flinched at each accusation but turned to his Hokage and said, I was not a ninja at the time, and I was not required to inform you. I needed an edge should the civilian council find a way to go around you, Gigi. I am sorry. He hung his head. The Hokage sighed. All of that is true, and stealing the Book of Seals is a serious offense. However, I think we can overlook it in light of recent events. Good job, Naruto, in protecting your team from those missing Nins. I would like to see your taijutsu, and if I can, I will get you the actual hummingbird style, since you are obviously the only person within the village who can use it. Naruto's eyes lit up and he said, Hi, Ji-san. Naruto paused, remembering something. So Ji-san, my seal is ready to be sold, correct? Hi, Naruto. Good, Karinai-sensei, Yugao-sensei. Hinata, come here a moment. Naruto reached into his pouch and took out 15 anti-rape seals. Karinai-sensei, after hearing your account of how you were almost raped 3 times in a single day and looking over the seals of the Yondaime, I decided to make what I call an anti-rape seal. I had made my sexy jutsu off of it, but no one knows the true purpose of that jutsu. It is an actual transformation. All of the women were hanging off his words at this point. This seal I have created, tested, and perfected will be sold in Konoha soon, but I want you 3 to have 5 each. He handed them to them, and after explaining how they worked, Karinai and Yugao immediately slapped theirs on their necks under their hair. I ask you keep this a secret so people do not come banging on my door. I just finished this recently, and I will get it in stores as fast as possible. They all nodded, amazed at such a thing. I believe that is it for today, and judging by the sun, it has been a long day. We should all head home. Be at the training ground tomorrow at 8 a.m. You all passed? Karinai said. All of them nodded, and the Hokage disengaged the privacy seals. Yugao gave Naruto a kiss on the cheek for the anti-rape seal and headed off home with a spring in her step. Karinai chuckled at Naruto's stunned face. Shino and Hinata headed off to the clan district while Naruto walked to the ninja district. Naruto led Karinai to his apartment, and they entered. Naruto asked, would you like something to drink? Karinai nodded to his offer and took a seat on the sofa. She liked how his living room was set with a few pictures here and there. Could use a woman's touch, but it was homey enough. Naruto set the drinks down and wondered what it was she wanted to talk about. So, was that everything from when you saved me to now? Karinai asked. Hi, though I might have changed my words around from in front of Hinata. Naruto answered. Oh really? How so? Karinai teased. I believe the exact words I used were a beautiful woman such as Karinai does not need to have such hate thrown on her. Karinai blushed at his compassion even from such a young age. You know I wasn't searching to thank you. Not many people would do what you did. Many would have killed the others just to take me for themselves, or would have left me there without risking their own necks. Naruto nodded and responded, what did Ji-san tell you I said when I saved you? Karinai thought for a moment before it dawned on her that rapists were the worst beings aside from child beaters. Naruto nodded again. Karinai thought to herself a little bit, he is so young yet he acts so mature, what must he have gone through at the villagers' hands? He is so compassionate, it rolls off him in waves. Even with the fox's presence he is not tainted. Naruto spoke up, I act mature for my age, yes. I noticed you pondering that. Let me say that my childhood was one that necessitated me be very careful. As such I have read many things and learned as much as I can to survive. Some things I know nothing of compared to others. I only hope what I know is enough to keep me afloat. Karinai was struck by his words yet again and decided to call it a night before her mind took her to a place she was pretty sure it would lead to eventually anyways. So she bid Naruto good night and stood up to leave. As she was leaving she leaned in and gave him a kiss on the cheek opposite Yugao. Thank you, my little blonde swordsman. Naruto stood there stunned for a second before replying, good night, Megami-chan. Naruto closed his door when Karinai was out of sight and they both went to bed thinking of each other and what the future might hold. As for Naruto being so open with his team about Kyuubi, no one has questioned this yet, but I feel I should say this. Naruto is used to being alone and hated. Unfortunate but true. He figured he had nothing to lose and all to gain by being honest with his team. Yugao is not an actual sensei, she will just be making appearances because of her relationship with Naruto. I apologize in advance to any woman who I may inadvertently offend by writing the workings of a female mind. I am not a female. I am by no means inclined to understand the female species. The women will be a little rushed into liking the little blonde ball of matureness, but I will hold off on anything past some groping, maybe a little citrus for the girls. Lemons may be added later on in the FIC, but don't expect anything until post-chunin exams. I know very little about actual relationships, few that was hard to write. I am being honest and making it up. Please, if you have a problem with something and cannot write it politely, I would be more than happy to read it in a PM. Even flames can be PM'd, I will respond or ignore at my discretion. Flames put to the public will be used to feed Naruto and Choji again. That last batch was quite delicious. Naruto's power. Currently he seems almighty. Very few people within Konoha could fight him, and when only S-class Nins can match Naruto in an all-out speed battle, more on this later. His speed is nearing the Yandame's. The Yandame was not called the Yellow Flash only because of his technique. He was also the fastest person on the field even without it. Speed trumps power every time. If the person can move about and is fast enough to dodge an attack, power counts for nothing. That being said, Naruto has nowhere near the battle experience of the older Chunin and any of the Jounin, as such they would be able to fight him and beat him easily if he does not release all of his seals. The only reason he took down that Chunin was because he got the surprise of a lifetime, and the Jounin was caught in a disorienting genjutsu. Guy would easily beat Naruto because of his experience. Lee could probably fight Naruto but would lose. Naruto probably has the most experience of his generation because he would sneak out and kill bandits. Hope that cleared some stuff up. This is an edited version of this chapter. I made some comments on the girl's feelings and actions I felt shouldn't be there after rereading some of my reviews and my chapter. Not much has changed, just read the part about Yugao and Karinai thinking about sharing Naruto. I think that's everything. If you are wondering something, please feel free to PM me. I love answering questions. Not if it spoils something though. I think that long of an is enough. In the end, it's not going to matter how many breaths you took, but how many moments took your breath away. Xingxiong. Disclaimer: I am too depressed to say it. Kamicazi. Kamicazi Tsukun 08 does not own Naruto or his affiliates. He does own me though. Chapter 5: Deranked Missions and Feelings. It had been almost 2 months since the formation of Team 8 and the revealing of Naruto's secrets to his teammates. They had been doing more D-ranks than the other teams because they were already perfectly situated into their roles. They even took the D-ranks as a training exercise and as a result finished them much faster than should be possible. Naruto would do extra D-ranks so they would have them on the record. They would only take the hardest ones and leave stuff like painting fences to the KBs, Kagebunshin. He would give the extra money to his teammates since his anti-rape seal had literally been sold out since it hit the shelves. His identity behind the seal had been a closely guarded secret, only the Sandaime and his team knew it was Naruto. Yugao also, but he considered Yugao part of his team. She would always come by when she had time. None of the females around Naruto paid for the seals since he gave them another batch when he finished them. He was planning on buying himself a plot of land and building a house when he got the money he wanted. There was tension building within the team though. Shino and Hinata were the best comrades Naruto could ask for. He worked on a seal for Shino's stamina and Hinata's chakra capacity. He managed to finish them easily and put them on his teammates. Shino could now last in a fight against Hinata, and Hinata's chakra capacity shot up from Genin to almost low Jounin. The tension, however, was between Naruto and Karinai. Especially when Yugao would visit. Shino observed this and saw that Naruto knew about it, but he assumed Naruto had a plan because Naruto did not seem clueless as to what to do. He would somehow be able to break the tension until the next meeting. Shino knew, however, there was going to be a breaking point, and it was fast approaching. Hinata was too focused on regaining her skills from being too nice, and could feel the tension just did not pinpoint the course. Hinata had reformed rather quickly after Naruto's killing of her. She started showing more confidence within the spars and managed to land a few hits on Naruto, surprising Naruto himself. She beat Hanabi, her younger sister, in a clan spar and managed to fight longer against Niji, the branch house prodigy, surprising the clan elders and bringing her father's notice to her. Her father had been so hard on her, hoping to push her, but it resulted in the opposite effect until Naruto broke her. She had not seen Kiba yet, but resolved to herself to at least give the boy a chance. He had been chasing her for years and he deserved it. Fox in position. Angel in position. Kakai in position. Teammate commence capture. Naruto burst out of the foliage, sending a very light gust through the clearing, leading the target to the left of the clearing until a wall of Kikaichu bugs sprung up. The target turned around and looked at its attackers. Hinata and Shino appeared near Naruto. The target looked at them, then jumped at Naruto. Naruto caught Tora easily, and the cat started cuddling up to him, purring. Capture confirmed. Ribbon states it is Tora, Naruto said through his radio. This was the 12th time in the last week they had caught Tora. She seemed to like Naruto, so they always took it when they could. Good work everyone, let's head back to the tower, Karinai replied over the radio. The team walked through Konoha with smiles on their faces. They were content with their usual routine. They would meet early in the morning and train. As soon as the Hokage's tower would open, they would go grab their missions for the day. Do the missions till lunch, and then finish up the missions. Teamwork exercises and finish the day off with some good old spars. Each of them could do the water walking exercise, and Naruto was working on Saban balancing while incorporating kunai balancing into his other known exercises to his KBs. At this point Naruto had about chunin level chakra control. He was shooting for jounin level, for him, in which case he would be able to outlast Jiraiya in his sage mode in pure terms of chakra. This was the only downside to his massive chakra. It was so damn hard to control. Naruto's smile, upon seeing the glares of the populace, slowly lost its way until he schooled his expression into neutrality. They still could not track his home down, but the glares did enough damage without him having to find his house. Karinai frowned seeing Naruto's mask and started glaring at the villagers. How dare they glare at him? He is putting his life on the line as a shinobi. Not to even mention holding back Kyuubi. She was planning out all these evil genjutsus and smirked. Karinai-sensei, Naruto said. Huh. What is it, Naruto-kun? Naruto's eyebrow raised at the new honorific. She had never really called him that. He dismissed it, and said, I had been telling you we are here now, and your smirk is scaring everyone. She looked around and did indeed see how most of the men were straying far away from her. She smirked again, and must have picked up some things from Naruto. Naruto unwittingly thought, damn. She has picked some stuff up from me. Let's head inside, Sensei. With that they all entered the tower. There was a catch board for the Catch the Tora mission. The cat had been tormenting Genin since the start of the Sandame's rule, and the leader board had been put up after the Sannin managed to catch her in 2 hours. To this day only one team had managed to beat that record. The top 10 catches were all under 2 hours. As a matter of fact, some of them was under 10 minutes. Naruto had set up places to meet Tora so he could pet her when she was out. As such, he had a little bit of a schedule he could follow to catch her. All of the top 10 catches had been made by Naruto's team. They walked into the Hokage's office and Naruto immediately relinquished hold of Tora to the Fire Daimyo's wife. She is going to kill that cat, Naruto thought. The Hokage sighed and said, good work teammate. Now for the next mission. A light bulb seemed to light up above Naruto's head. Karinai noticed the light in Naruto's eyes, tried to stop him. No, Naru, excuse me, miss, Naruto shouted. You're hurting her. The Fire Daimyo's wife turned to find Naruto pointing at Tora. She raised an eyebrow and said, I think I know how to handle my pets. Naruto scowled and said, oh yeah? Put Tora down and let's see who she goes to. If she comes to me, you let me show you how she likes to be petted. If you win, I will catch your cat for free for the rest of the month. The Fire Daimyo's wife smirked. Okay, Karinai-sensei, could you please take Tora and put her in the middle of the room? Karinai and the Hokage sighed. Hi. Karinai placed Tora in the middle of the room and the Fire Daimyo's wife immediately said, Tora, come here, and there is some fish in it for you. Tora looked her owner and took a step. Naruto spoke up, Tora-chan, here girl. Making sounds with his teeth. Tora immediately turned around and leapt into the Genin's arms. The Fire Daimyo was stunned. Like this, ma'am. Naruto showed the Fire Daimyo's wife. Gently petting Tora's head and scratching her ears, making her purr. Now you try. The Fire Daimyo almost crushed Tora when Naruto held her arm. Softly. He led the Fire Daimyo's wife's hand gently down Tora's spine and Tora started purring. Amazing, the entire room minus Naruto said. Naruto smirked and said, if you treat Tora like that, I doubt she will run again. Thank you, Mr. Naruto chuckled. I am Uzumaki Naruto, ma'am. Please treat Tora nicely. As much as I love petting her, she needs a good home. The Fire Daimyo's wife nodded and made a note to tell the Fire Lord about this Genin. The Hokage chuckled seeing Naruto's legendary politician skills at work. He would be a force to rival in a few years. If that is all, ma'am, I believe Team 8 has earned the rest of the day off. Dismissed, the Hokage said. Everyone filed out of the office. Outside, so should we do teamwork exercises or? Naruto started. I have a clan mission that is starting and I will be gone for a few days, Shino said while he walked to his compound. Ano, father wants to train me in some advanced moves, so I must get going. Gomen na Naruto. With that, Hinata walked off. Just like that, the tension was in the air again. Well, Karinai-sensei, seems we are being left to fend for ourselves. What would you like to do? Karinai thought about it for a while. I think I am going to go meet Anko for lunch, then relax the rest of the day. What about you, Naruto-kun? Naruto again quirked an eyebrow at the honorific. Naruto responded while thinking, it's now or never. I was considering asking you to join me for dinner. Karinai was taken aback. Really, now what would the occasion be for? Karinai's mind immediately went to the place she tried so hard over the past 2 months to avoid. A date? She immediately slapped herself in her head, but the words were already out. If you don't mind going on a date with someone as young as me, I most certainly would welcome you as my date, Naruto said. Naruto hated to throw such a point into the conversation, but it must be clear before they start anything that could lead to disaster areas for Naruto's mind. If he allows himself to connect to someone but they would never allow it past a certain point. Well, Naruto has so little friends it becomes devastating to lose even one. Karinai blinked and replied almost without thinking, a man's age has nothing to do with his maturity, Naruto-kun. You are much more mature than most of the men in this village. Naruto took the compliment and said, then shall I pick you up at 7 o'clock? Karinai nodded her head and took her leave, heading for Anko, eager to share her news with Naruto. He headed home thinking to Kyuubi and Kamicazi that was unexpected. But welcome. Kamicazi chimed in. All I know is, Kit, you need some clothes for tonight. This ANBU stuff isn't cutting it. Kyuubi informed her container. Naruto nodded his assent to the demon. He had arrived at his house and decided to tidy up his small apartment. He set about to work and let his mind wander, as he did the menial chores that allowed him to work his finger muscles. Over the past month he could feel the sexual tension between himself and Karinai. It was part of the reason he did not want his identity revealed, but he could not say he was not enjoying the attention. He had been attracted to the woman even when he was young. He was by no means a pervert, but for some reason he had noticed her even at his young age and pegged her as someone he wanted to know more about. He had thought about her over the years and kept an eye on her, helping her out with little notes for genjutsu ideas, though she didn't know that. He knew that now that she knew about him. He was falling for her. Thought there were 2 things that held him back. One was the age difference. He was not sure she would be able to hold a relationship with someone 7 years younger than her. Another was Yugao. He knew he held feelings for the purple-haired ANBU as well. This confused him, as he was sure that he should only be able to love one of them. Yugao had inadvertently led to the creation of his inner pervert a year ago, when he had been flashed. She still did not know this, but he had dreams of her and Karinai doing things with him he knew 13-year-olds shouldn't be keen on doing. Yes, there were 13-year-olds who did that, but they were perverts, right? And wanting more than one girl, did that not make him perverse? He could not ask the girls these questions, and he hesitated to ask Kurisu. He felt it would not be proper to discuss this with others, therefore kept it squashed down where only Kamicazi was able to see it occasionally when it would flash across his mind in training. Kamicazi knew that it was natural but did not want to encourage him. He decided to let his user figure it out on his own, and he would help where he could. Trying to explain it to someone like Naruto might only exacerbate it. Naruto, though, for the life of him, he could not seem to figure out why he could not have both of them. It was supposed to feel wrong to love multiple women. It showed in society how men were only allowed one woman to become their wife. Naruto was sure that because of this you were only supposed to love one woman. He had more interaction with Karinai, so he decided to go on a date with her, since she brought it up. But he was feeling a little guilty at not taking Yugao out as well. Still musing over why he could not have multiple loves. He missed the thoughtful expression and slight muttering of the Kyuubi as Naruto continued his cleaning with Karinai. I can't believe I actually asked him that. She was still in a bit of shock over the fact she just asked out a boy who was 7 years her junior. She could not deny her feelings about the boy. Ever since he had been shown as the swordsman who saved her all those years ago, and that he remained so pure even now was utterly astonishing. His childhood had been horrible. He had not explained much before he got his sword, but just the parts that he did made Karinai cringe. He asked so mature she felt as if she was talking to her father again. She was walking to the dango shop she was sure Anko was going to be at and continued her musings. He was kind, courageous, cute, powerful, and definitely not a pervert because she had yet to see him trying to sneak a peek at her or Hinata during practice. Basically everything she wanted in a man was packed into that little man 7 years her junior. The things he could do with seals were amazing. He managed to bring her stamina up so high that she could actually outlast Kakashi. That had always been her weakest point, and now she could stand long fights. When she first realized she was falling for the blonde after giving him that little kiss on the night she had been assigned him as a genin, she tried to stop her mind from going there, but as she spent time around him and noticed how his aura radiated peace and security, she began to grow more and more attracted to him. She noticed how Yugao was hanging around him too. That did not sit well with her for some reason. Now she stopped denying herself and actually took that step to see what would happen if she went further. She felt a little sorry for Yugao, She had been as deprived of love as she had because of all the perverts honing in on her as well, and decided that she would help Yugao find a guy if things worked out with Naruto tonight. With Yugao. She could not get that little man out of her head. Damn it, she growled in her head. Why is it all the guys her age have to be perverts? There was that hate guy, but ever since she met Naruto he was all she could think about. His aura of peace yet deadliness was only exuded by the strongest of shinobi. He could bring you at ease with his very presence. The fact he had one kick-ass sword that he could talk to did not have any indication as to why she had initially taken an interest in him. She could feel the power rolling off him when she saw him that night in the ANBU headquarters. She could feel the skill he held hidden when he shined onto the training ground the day she had helped Karinai. She tried as hard as she could to keep herself from him, but it only seemed to push her along faster. She knew she fell for the blonde. When she kissed him on the cheek she had known, but she tried to deny it. Tried as hard as she could to say someone 8 years younger could never want to be with someone like her, but her mind would not accept it. So she spent some time away from him that first week doing ANBU missions, but as soon as she got back she felt compelled to seek him out. So she had, and as soon as she walked into his presence she was at peace. More calm than she had ever felt before. His aura was just so damn comforting. Like a blanket that just dulled your senses. She was a little annoyed that Karinai got to spend so much time with him. She almost wished she were his sensei just to spend some time with him. She had finally worked up the courage to make it seem like a casual date. The next time she saw him she was gonna ask him out. If things worked out with Naruto she was going to have to help Karinai in finding another decent guy. She felt a little bad taking Karinai's swordsman away, but he was too much of a catch for anyone to let go. Besides, with his life the sooner he gets some love and the more he gets the better. Dango's shop. Enko was eating her dango peacefully when Yugao walked up and joined her. Wonder what's got her in such a good mood. Shrugging it off as she didn't care and continued to eat her blessed dango. A few minutes later Karinai walked up in a similarly good mood. While they are both in a good mood, something must have happened. Deciding to get the news. She was a professional interrogator. So what happened that got you girls in such high spirits? Yugao and Karinai both shared wistful sighs as if they were little girls thinking of a fond crush, and Enko smirked. Oh, this is gonna be good, must be about that blonde gaki. Karinai and Yugao had informed Enko of all that had happened with Naruto. They felt that since she had been helping them out the most with their search that they owed her that much. She had almost blew a gasket at how horrible the villagers had been, but calmed down when Yugao and Karinai told her that no one was to know, so the council could not try to hurt Naruto. Enko had yet to meet the boy, but she swore if he hurt either of her friends some heads were going to roll. Yugao and Karinai looked at each other before turning away with guilty expressions. Yep, definitely about the blonde gaki. Okay, spill. The only reason for you two to act that this is that little blonde-headed man that somehow lives in your apartment complex. Yugao and Karinai shared a look and Karinai nodded to show Yugao should go first. Yugao steeled herself and started her story. She spoke of how she had come to love the blonde little swordsman, how she was initially attracted to his aura, and after spending some time with him she began to see him as something more, even though it had only been 2 months. She tried to deny her feelings, but it didn't work, and he had opened up quite a bit with her, and she was planning on asking him out for a date tonight. So there you have it. Sorry Karinai, but I really do like the guy, probably even love him. Yugao ended. Enko motioned for Karinai to speak her piece. Karinai started her side as well, starting how she just wanted to know more about the blonde swordsman who saved her life not once but twice. She got him to explain his reasoning behind his actions and came to show his compassionate side. She mimicked Yugao and saying his aura calmed her down to the point she almost didn't even have her guard up when she was around him for extended periods. Finally, how she tried to deny herself, but he asked her to dinner as friends, and she sort of pushed for something more. Sorry Yugao, but I have the date with him tonight, and I am going to take it. He is too good to pass up. Yugao's face fell. I want to try to help you find a good person for you too though. Karinai said, though she realized Yugao would probably not want her help, not after this. Enko watched all this with a passive face and felt for her purple-haired comrade. There were very few good people within Konoha. Even less decent males around, and with her getting older the pickings were slim, especially because of her ANBU career. It was amazing that they had found this diamond in the rough. Now most thought Enko was a sex fiend that was just a mask to hide her true nature of being scared of others trying to take advantage of her because of her past. So using this mask she actually had a light bulb go off in her head, and before Yugao could make a hasty exit spoke up, "Why don't you just share him?" Enko spoke her ingenious idea. What? Both Yugao and Karinai all but shouted. They immediately calmed down when most of the store stared at them. Karinai spoke up first. Why would we share him? He is not some prize for us to have. Yugao then spoke up. Yeah? Besides, what if he didn't like me? He did ask Karinai out first. Enko sighed. Getting through to these numbskulls will take some maneuvering. First off, I never said he was a prize, he is a person, but with the shit he has been through, don't you think he deserves a little extra lovin'? Second, he opened up to you, Yugao. According to Karinai here, he has not told as much as he told to you to anybody but Karinai. What other proof do you need? He has had a life more horrible than mine, and if I had two beautiful women say they both want to date me, I would most definitely jump at it. Anko sat back and watched her friend's emotions. There were two ways this could end. Both happy and satisfied, literally that demonic stamina would be put to good use with these girls. Or one heartbroken and the other happy. She hoped it was the former. Yugao thought about it from Anko's suggestion. Does he love me? She asked herself first. If he didn't, then this was a moot point, but if he loved her and Karinai, then well, it was a win-win in her case. She was great friends with Karinai. She could tolerate having to share with her best friend. In fact, it might even prove fun. She had always enjoyed Karinai's company. She had a sharp wit that showed itself around her friends. They enjoyed many of the same things. She had come to the decision she could share with Karinai. After all, she had promised to help her find a guy too, and she loved Karinai almost like a sister. If this provided them both happiness, then it was fine with her. Karinai was thinking at the same time as Yugao. He likes me. I know that, but does he like Yugao too? She thought about it for a moment, and decided that Naruto had to at least like her as a friend, if nothing else, with all he had told her. Then came the ultimate question. Can I share him? It was true what Anko said about his life. He had led an awful life. She was sure she could provide a loving, caring environment to his life. She loved Yugao like a sister. They both wanted the same guy, and enjoyed many of the same views. She decided Anko was right. Sharing would bring happiness to all of the people. Naruto most of all, who deserved it. She turned to Yugao. Anko watched as they finished their internal debates and turned to each other. I don't mind if you want to try to share him, Yugao, Karinai said. Yugao teared up with happiness and hugged her sister in all but blood. Thank you. Well, I think we should get ready for tonight, Karinai blinked. She had almost forgotten her date tonight. You want to break it to him tonight? Hi. I don't get much time off from ANBU, but the Sandaime has said he wants me to spend some more time with your team, so I will be getting a little more vacation time within the city. Karinai nodded and said, well, we need to go pick out what we want so we can rock him tonight. Anko finally spoke up. I am happy for you two, just don't break him. He is going to be naive in some points. Try to be a bit more understanding, and don't blow up at him. I heard he had a pink banshee from his last year at the academy, and he hated her for it. The trio stood up and after paying for their meal exited the store. They walked for a little bit before getting ready to separate, and right before they did they ran into Naruto, who looked a little tired from what smelled like cleaning supplies. Karinai and Yugao both waved and said hello, Naruto-kun. Naruto looked up from his trek and smiled. Hello, Karinai-chan, Yugao-chan, Anko-chan. Anko looked confused before saying, how do you know about me? Naruto answered, Yugao-ken and Karinai-chan always talk about you. I hear you have had a rough life. I was on my way to get some formal clothes done since all I have is training clothes. Would you ladies accompany me? I have something I want to show you. Anko immediately threw a kunai at Naruto, but Naruto saw her action and immediately plucked the kunai out the air and turned around, handing it back to her with the handle pointing at her, as she shunned shine behind him. Do not attack me. I just might kill you, he said while staring at her with red eyes. I believe this is yours, he said, returning to his previous persona. Karinai and Yugao just stood there chuckling at Anko's gobsmacked expression. They had warned her, and had been worried when she threw the kunai, but Naruto's actions were funny. Anko finally grinned before reaching down and plucking the kunai from his hand and whispered in his ear, you hurt my sisters and I will castrate you. Naruto simply nodded and whispered back, I would kill myself before allowing me to harm them. Anko looked in his blue eyes and nodded before turning to Yugao and Karinai. Let's go then. Naruto led them to Karisu's shop. He stopped in front of it, but the three kunoichi looked around and said, what are we looking for? Extend your senses a bit, Naruto replied. Each of them looked at the store and muttered genjutsu. Naruto nodded and led them inside. He greeted his brother. Ohio Karisu and Aisen. Ohio Otuto. Karisu answered back. All three kunoichi now had their mouths on the floor. Here was the legendary Karisu and his shop, and Naruto called him an Aisen. Karisu chuckled, please pick your mouths off the floor. They promptly shut their mouths and Naruto said, Nisen, this is Megami-chan, Murasaki-heim, and Hibi-heim. Pointing to Karinai, Yugao, and Anko respectively. Earning blushes from the first two and a glare from the last. Using his names for them so Karisu could get a feel for them. He was particularly interested in Anko. He had heard of her treatment within the village and was interested in who she was. He could not stand for bigots who attack their own defenders. Ohio everyone. Pleasure to finally meet you. I have heard so much from little Naruto here. Especially you, Miss Anko. Anko growled and putting on her mask said, yeah, what did the little bugger tell ya about how good I am with a snake? Karisu took her bad temper in stride and said, no, he actually told me you were a beautiful woman who was looked down upon for no fault of your own. Enko's eyes widened before looking at Naruto, who smiled sadly. Enko-chan, I want you to promise me something. Enko asked, what? That you will go on a date with Karisu tonight. Enko growled, why would I do that? Naruto said, because if you do I will remove your curse seal. Enko immediately tried to catch Naruto, but he had removed his seals before saying it and avoided her. Damn it, Yugaki, get here and remove this seal. You better respect me. Naruto's eyes turned red. Respect is earned, not given. Even the Hokage had to earn my respect. Don't expect me to somehow respect you just because of your position. I had said I would remove the seal for little, but I don't think I should now with your little outburst. It took me years of studying to reach the level I am at, and many months to devise a counter seal for your particular seal. Enko was stunned. The Gaki growled at her, but not only that, Yugao and Karinai were shaking their heads. I will give you one last chance. Karisu is a fine man, he simply wants to know you better. I only had that stipulation because he will never ask you out, and I know you two would work together. Enko considered it for all of 5 seconds and said fine. Naruto nodded his head. If you don't keep your promise you will wish you had kept this compared to what I will do to you. He quickly pulled out a piece of paper and walked to Enko. Naruto slapped the paper on Enko's neck and yelled Fuyin Kai. After a brief moment in which markings spread all over Enko's body, she blinked and everyone saw a wisp of something that looked like a soul's head screaming in agony before disappearing. Now enjoy your night, that is what I wanted to show you. Be ready to be picked up at 7 JNE. With that, Naruto shoved them out the door and into the street. Naruto sighed and said, let's get to work. Karisu, you need an outfit too. Karisu sighed, since you went through the trouble I will go. The girls went their separate ways to get ready for their respective dates. That night, 7 o'clock. Naruto rang the doorbell at Karinai's apartment. Curiously enough, Karinai, Naruto and Yugao were the only ones within this whole apartment. Karinai's voice came from within the apartment. Come in. Naruto walked into the apartment and noticed it was sparsely furnished, but the predominant theme was a red color set almost matching her eyes. She had a sofa and a TV. A few pictures of past times, but otherwise a plain apartment. He heard someone moving from the hallway and stood near the door, so when she came around the corner he could get a decent look at her. Karinai came around the corner, and his jaw dropped. She was wearing a red dress that reached down to her ankles. It stretched from right below her breasts to her ankles in a full wraparound. However, it was backless on the top with the straps holding her breasts to her body. He managed to pick his jaw off the ground just to have it drop again as Yugao walked into the room. She was wearing a golden dress with a back that supported her breasts quite nicely that ended about mid-thigh. He looked between the two women trying to figure out why both of them were here. Yugao and Karinai were licking their lips and thinking jackpot. Naruto had gotten a kimono made for himself. It was black with crimson crescents on it. It showed very little of his body, but with his hair tidied up and combed, even with its spiky appearance, he was showing every bit of the correct atmosphere. Finally noticing his questioning glance, Karinai spoke up, "Take a seat, Naruto, we wish to discuss something with you before this date." Naruto looked like a deer caught in the headlights when she spoke, and she was a little pleased they had guessed right. Naruto sat on the sofa while they sat on either side. Now Naruto, Yugao spoke up, "We already know you like Karinai, but what about me?" Naruto flushed a little before responding, "You are amazing as well, Murasaki-hime. I really don't think I could live without both of you." Both of them flashed a smile before leaning in. "That's good, Naruto," started Karinai, "because we decided we would share you." Yugao finished as they each took a kiss on the lips. Naruto was stunned for a few seconds before recovering. "Huh! I thought it was against the law for that." The women's side, "We don't care about being married, Naruto, although it would be nice, it is not necessary. We are ninja, our lives are short compared to others. Whether we share the same name or not makes no difference to us." Naruto looked contemplative for a moment before responding, "So you both are going to be my girlfriends?" A slight hope in his voice. Both of them chuckled before saying in unison, "Hi." They giggled again. Naruto sighed happily before turning to both of them and saying, "I am glad for you solving my internal dilemma. I have been struggling recently to express that I like both of you. Now I am glad you both like me too." He kissed them both again before standing. "Now I believe you two ladies are in need of a date." He took Karinai on his right arm and Yugao on his left, and they left Karinai's apartment. He started walking around the city. He led them to the rich sector of the city. They stopped in front of the Leaf Dragon, the highest place in town. It had sprung up a few years ago, and immediately became the place for clan heads and the council to eat at. Naruto walked up to the door and ignored the muttering of the crowd. Naruto-kun, are you sure this is the place?" Yugao asked, not sure about it. Naruto chuckled as they looked at the bouncer and said, "Hi Yugao-chan, now may we pass Tsuken?" "Tsuken." The bouncer looked at Naruto for a second and then bowed, letting them through. Yugao and Karinai were stunned. Naruto walked right up to the maitre d' and said, "Table for 3 Uzumaki." The maitre d' looked up and scowled. "Get out of here, boy, before I call the police and have you arrested for trespassing." Naruto looked at the man and said, "How long have you been working here?" The man seemed surprised before responding, "This is my 3rd week here." That would explain it. Please call the manager. The maitre d' did as was told, sure the demon was going to be thrown out. Naruto-kun, let's just go somewhere where there aren't any stuck-up pricks, Karinai said. Now, Megami-chan, this is all gonna be resolved in a moment. As Naruto spoke, the manager walked up and upon noticing Naruto looked at the maitre d' scowling. He immediately went up to Naruto and bowed. "My apologies, Naruto-dano. Please allow me to take you to your seat." Both the girls and the maitre d' were stunned. He just addressed him as if he were a visiting dignitary. "Don't worry about it, Takashi-san, simply make sure your maitre d's are more hospitable next time." With that they walked off to the table. As he sat after the girls had gotten settled on the balcony scene overlooking the entire city, he spoke up. "A few years ago, while I was still training, I began to sneak out and kill bandit camps for some experience. The waiter took their drink orders and entrees and went to place the order. While I was out there, I came across a woman trapped in a cage being held hostage by about 50 bandits. I made my plan, and when most of them slept I killed them to release the captives. Noticing the woman I saw earlier, she stopped and asked my name. I responded, and a few years later I am walking down the street when that same woman walks up to me. At this point the drinks are there, and they are munching on snacks. She introduces herself, and says that she wants to thank me for my contribution to her store. She took all the money the bandits had and made a restaurant. Can you guess who this is?" Karinai and Yuga were stunned for the 5th time tonight. "He saved the owner of the most popular restaurant in Konoha? So I gained instant access here and a reserved table for whenever I want to come with free food, though I pay because of the investment. My payout stays with the restaurant and more than covers my food costs." They had finished eating and were just enjoying each other's presence, making small talk. They turned to the city view and they each sat on the edge of the roof, Naruto in between the two girls. Naruto had an idea on how to end the day. "How would you girls like to see where I go just to think or get away?" Yugao and Karinai both nodded. Naruto shined them all to the fourth's head and sat down. Karinai laid on his right and Yugao on his left. He stroked their hair as they all watched the sunset from the mountaintop. They did not keep track of time until all of a sudden Naruto said, "Fuck. Goddamn villagers." Both Yugao and Karinai were worried. "What's wrong, Naruto-kun?" they asked. Naruto quickly said, "Girls, do you have anything hidden within your rooms under a strong genjutsu or in a safe?" Both shook a negative, and Naruto sighed. "I regret to inform you that our apartments have burned down. The villagers finally found out where I live and burned it down about 5 minutes ago. I just got a KB memory of it." Both Yugao and Karinai were in tears, thinking they lost everything. "The KBs I had in my apartment saved all of your belongings and brought them somewhere safe. That's why I asked if you had anything hidden. I apologize for going through your drawers, but it was necessary." He hung his head ashamed, until he felt both their lips pressing against his. "Thanks," they both said. Naruto coughed and cleared his throat. "Yes, well, I had not planned this so soon, but since our complex burned down, and I do not think you two have a place to stay." They both shook a negative again. Naruto cleared his throat and blushed a deep crimson. "I would be honored to have you come live with me." They both blinked before asking Naruto, "Didn't your apartment get burnt down too?" Naruto replied, "I had been saving up for a plot of land and building supplies for a while now. I just finished my home and I have 2 bedrooms with your names on it if you want." His blush creeping back. Yugao and Karinai spoke to each other before turning around with a mischievous glint in their eyes and saying, "Okay, we would like to take you up on that, Naruto-kun." Naruto gulped before nodding and leading them to his new house. He had made rooms suited to their individual tastes in hopes they would one day live with him. Kind of a lost dream to him, but he was overjoyed to finally share his living space with someone. Especially 2 women he loved. Meanwhile, Karinai and Yugao were making plans to murder the poor boy. They arrived at the house and Karinai and Yugao gasped. It was a large size, easily big enough to fit a nice family of 12 to 15. Naruto led them on a house tour. The living room was spacious with the same type of sofa of Naruto's apartment. A big screen TV. A small fridge for snacks and drinks. The kitchen was state-of-the-art, and had every gadget a person could ever want. There were about 10 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. The master bedroom and bath. A hot spring, a dojo, and a library which held the base for the matrix of seals that protected his house. He added their signatures so they could enter the house. They were surprised when he showed the 4 custom rooms. 2 of which were theirs. One of them was pure yellow. When they asked him why yellow, he said, "I am not sure. It seems I was just pushed to make it that way." Another was adorned with a small pond and a mist machine. They asked, but he said he was just compelled to make it that way. Naruto then showed their rooms. Yuga was first. Hers was a pure gold color that matched her eyes. Stands for her sword and a desk with scrolls of kenjutsu. It had a queen-sized bed with golden bed covers. Naruto led Karinai to her room. It was red-colored like her eyes. The bed covers copying that color scheme. Scrolls on genjutsu theory and some small plants for her to take care of. Both hugged him and took off to explore and unpack, having handed them their scrolls with their items sealed inside. He wandered off to his master bedroom. He was sad the complex burned down, but happy he got the girls. He decided to take a shower and hit the bed. It had been a long day. Once he was finished with his shower, just wearing his boxers, he stepped out of his bathroom to look at his king-sized bed. He saw a sight most men would dream of. Karinai in a red teddy barely holding her breasts in and leaving nothing to the imagination with a red pair of panties. Yuga wearing the same, only golden. He wondered where they had gotten them for a second, then decided he didn't care. They both giggled at his expression and said, "You wouldn't want us to be lonely in this big empty house, would you, Naruto-kun?" Karinai said suggestively, drawing out his name. "You wouldn't want us all cold at night because of you and Naruto-kun?" Yuga said, following the pattern. Naruto sighed. "Megami-chan, Murasaki-heim, would you do this poor soul a favor and sleep with me tonight?" They replied without hesitation. They threw him onto the bed. Karinai taking her traditional right-hand place, snuggling up with him and pressing her body flush against him as Yuga mimicked her on the left. They both murmured, "Night, Naruto-kun." Naruto sighed, content to go to sleep in the embrace of someone who loves him for the first time in his life. "Good night, my little Megami, my little Heim." With that, Naruto drifted to his most peaceful sleep of his life.